Hey guys, Joey here. In this video, we're going to learn how to make a TODO app only using vanilla JavaScript. At the same time, we're going to learn how a CRUD application works. Alright guys, now here's the question. What is a CRUD application and how does it work? Basically, the CRUD application allows a user to create data, read data, update that data. At the same time, it also gives the powers to the users to delete that data as well. That's CRUD. Let me show you a sample. So guys, we're gonna build this TODO app using the CRUD principles. Now look at this. If I click on this button, then do you see this form here? I can write a task here. Let's say that I'm gonna write here task number 3. Then I'm gonna select a date like this. Now let's say that I'm gonna write here learn CRUD application JS, something like this. Look at this. Now guys, the moment I click on the ad, what will happen is that, do you see all of this data here is gonna get created and it's gonna get read like this. Look at this. If I scroll down here, do you see this? We have our task number 3, then we have the description here, learn CRUD application JS, and we have the date here as well. Let me make another card here. Okay, let's say that I'm gonna write here task number 4. I'm gonna select a date like this, and now I'm gonna give a description. Let's say that go to bed early. Okay, go to bed early, something like this. Now look at this. I'm gonna click on the ad like this, and if I scroll down here, look at this. We have the task number 4 here. The CRUD application also gives us the power to edit or delete data. Let me show you. Do you see this delete button here? I'm gonna click on the delete and I'm gonna completely remove this one. Look at that. Okay, I can also remove task number 3, or let's say that I'm gonna remove task number 2 like this. Look at that. Okay, now let's say that I want to edit this one. Okay, instead of learning the CRUD application, what I'm gonna learn is, let's say that I'm gonna learn React.js. Okay, I'm gonna write here React.js, then I'm gonna select a date like this. Okay, now instead of the task 3 is gonna be task number, let's say 7. Now look at this. The moment I click on the ad, look at that, our data got updated and it is also showing it on the display. So this is the example of a CRUD application. But hey guys, wait a second. Before touching this project, I want us to build this project. Okay, us means you and me. Together we're gonna make this mini social media app where we have the ability to write new post. At the same time, we have the ability to delete that post. Also, we can also edit those posts. Let me show you. Let's say that I'm gonna make post number 5. Okay, and here I'm gonna write my own name like this, Joy, something like this. Now look at this. The moment I click on the post, now look at that, the data got created and then it got read here. Can you see that? I can see my name here and the post number 5. Let's say that I want to delete post number 2. I can do that as well by clicking this delete button. Look at that, it's gone. Now let's say that I want to edit this one. Okay, I want to edit this like this, and now I want to remove all of those unnecessary Y's from there. Look at that, those Y's are gone. Now click on the post. Look at that, it gave us the updated version of the post. So this is working like that. The main reason for building this project before the TODO app is that first of all we have to understand how the CRUD mechanics works. Only then we can just move forward to the TODO app. So let's get started guys. First of all, we build this. Through the link in the description down below, you're gonna get the source code of this project. So first of all, we're gonna build this one, the CRUD basics, and then we're gonna build the TODO app. Let's say that you don't feel like coding, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna come over to CRUD basics and you can see the HTML and the CSS files. So you just copy paste from here, and through the timestamp in the description down below, you start from the JavaScript part, okay? But if you want to go along with me and build the entire thing starting from the HTML and the CSS, then you're most welcome. Alright guys, come over to your desktop and then right click, create a new folder. Okay, name it CRUD basics. Okay, something like this. Okay, CRUD basics. There we go. Now open this with your VS Code, and here you're gonna make index.html, style.css, something like this. Okay, then your style.css and also your JavaScript file. Okay, perfect. On the HTML code, write some boilerplate code like this. There we go. And on the document, we're gonna name it CRUD basics. Alright, now here we're gonna make, first of all, a div with the class name container, something like this. Look, dot container. Alright, there we go. And before this one, we're gonna make an h1 tag. Okay, and here we're gonna write social media app. There we go. And now do this, link the CSS inside here. Okay, link tab. Oh, not this one, sorry, link tab. And here what you're gonna do is you're gonna hit control space, then you're gonna get this automatic option. Can you see this? You're gonna select style.css. There we go, done. Okay, and now inside this container we're gonna have 2 sections. Okay, let's open the design. So guys, can you see this design? This entire thing will be considered a container, which is actually this one. Can you see this? Yeah, this one. and inside here we're gonna have two sections. This one is the left section, this one is the right section. Okay, so let's build that up. So here I'm gonna make two divs with the class name left and right. Dot left plus, oh not this one, plus dot right. There we go, done. Okay, now come back to the design and look at this. What do we have? This is called a text area. I mean, this entire thing is called a form. This is the label, this is the text area, and this is the submit button. Let's build that up. Okay, so you're gonna come back here, and do you see this? Here you're gonna make a form tag. Okay, form tab, and instead of the action we're gonna write an ID so that we can target that on the JavaScript. Okay, and on the ID write it form. There we go. Now listen, inside here we're gonna make first of all label. Okay, label tab, and on the label we're gonna write what was it? Write your post here. Okay, let's go for it. Right. I made a mistake, my bad. Right, there we go. Write your post, and here we're gonna make a text area. Okay, look at this text. Can you see this option? Just click it. Okay, text area, then name ID. On the ID we're gonna name it input. Okay, input. There we go. And then finally we're gonna make the submit button. Look at this button. Okay, can you see this one? If you scroll down, we're gonna get button type submit. We're gonna press that, and inside here we're gonna make, we're gonna write post. Okay, there we go, done. Let's look at the result by right clicking open with live server. All right, now look at that. This is the result so far. And by the way, let's compare this with our original design. Look at that, that's different. I mean, the font family is different, so let's fix that up. The font family is called sans serif. Okay, so you come back to your style CSS, right body curly bracket and then ff tab, and inside this serif do this ss. If you don't see these options, just hit this one, control space, then you're gonna get sans serif. Okay, and for the margin, look at this m tab. On the top and bottom it should be 0, but on the left and right keep it 50 pixel. Okay, save it. Let's go and look at the result. There we go, we have this result so far. And by the way, you can also zoom in by selecting your control, by pressing your control key on your keyboard and then zooming in using your mouse wheel like this. There you go, you can just zoom in and look at it better. And look at this one. Okay, can you see write your post, text area and button on the same line? Let's fix that up using br tag. Okay, so I'm going to put two br tag here, tab, a br tab. There we go, and below this one br star 2 tab. There we go, done. Let's look at the result. Yeah, it looks perfect, just like this one. Can you see this? Just like the design. Now let's make the right section. Okay, these are actually called the dummy post. Okay, so we're gonna keep them so that we can test with our results after we are done with the JavaScript part. All right, so let's continue. So you're gonna come back here, and on the right, can you see this one? Here I'm gonna make an h3 tag. Okay, tab, and what should we write here? Let's check the design. Your posts here. Let's go for it. Done. Now do this inside here below the h3 tag, make a div with the id posts. Okay, all right guys, now let me explain why I made this. Do you see this div? I made this so that I can inject all of my posts inside here. So do you see this dummy post here, 1 and 2, hello world and then lorem? We're gonna put those inside here. At the same time, when I write something on here, it should come on the result side, on the right side here. So that's why I made this one. All right, now inside here what I'm gonna write is, every post will have a div as a parent like this. Look, div tab. So this is what, this is your post number 1, post 1. Okay, and then make another div, it should be your post number 2. Let's look at the result initially. All right, so I'm going to come back to the result screen. Look at that. Okay, your post here and then post 1, post 2. Now we're going to put it where? On the right side. So how do we use it? We're going to use something called display flex. Like, that's the simple solution. So in order to target that, do you see this right? Do you see this one? Where is it? Left. Okay, so what do you see common in between these two? These two have the same parent, which is this one. And if you recall, Flexbox works on the parent container, which is, it should work on this one, and we should target this one. So copy that, come back here and write dot paste. Okay, curly bracket, display flex tab. There we go. Let's look at the result. Yep, look at that. Now listen, we're gonna put some gap. Okay, gap of, let's say 50 pixel. You can just adjust this gap as you like. Let's look at the result. Look at that. Okay, it looks quite good. And let's put some delete and edit button. Do you see these buttons here, delete and edit? So where did I get this from? I got it from Font Awesome. Okay, fontawesome.com. all right. So before this one, what you're gonna do is you're gonna come back to my GitHub repository and then scroll down. Do you see this? I already included that on the already included that on the readme file. You just grab this. This is the Font Awesome CDN. You just copy this, come back here on the HTML, paste it here like this. There we go. All right, now let's come back. Where should we go? On the Font Awesome. Okay, now here you're gonna write delete. Okay, delete icon will appear. Here we go. Can you see this one? I'm gonna take this trash. Okay, now start using this icon. Copy that, come back here on the right section, and inside posts, do you see this div? So instead of like pasting it directly here, do this. So what you're gonna do is, do you see this post? You're gonna put it inside a p tag. Okay, p tab. You're gonna put it there, and then below this p tag, you're gonna make a span with the class name options. Okay, tab. There we go. Now inside this options, do you see this? We're gonna keep our icons, the edit button and the delete button, something like this. Look, this is the delete button. Okay, and instead of putting it here, we're gonna keep it where? Inside this p tag. Okay, there we go. It looks much clean. Now let's look at the result. Yeah, look at that. Don't worry, we're gonna change that using display flex. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back here and write edit. Okay, edit. There we go. So this is first one. I'm gonna grab the first one. All right, now scroll down and start using this icon. Okay, I'm gonna copy that, come back, and you see this before the trash. Okay, I'm gonna put it here like this. There we go. Now listen, I'm gonna copy and paste the same thing on the second one as well. I'm gonna remove this one first, put it here, and instead of the post 1, I'm gonna put post 2. Let's go back to the results screen and look what did we get so far. Yeah, look at that. Now we're gonna use display flex to fix this. Okay, so come back here and look at this. Do you see inside the posts we have how many divs? 1 div and 2 div. Okay, these are the 2 divs, and in the future we're gonna have multiple divs. Let's say that we're gonna have 5 more posts, which means 5 more divs like this. There we go. These are all post number 3, 4, 5, 6, so on and so forth. So in order to target all of them at once, what we're gonna do is, do you see this ID with posts? I'm gonna copy that, come back here, look at this. I'm gonna put hashtag because that's an ID. Okay, paste it here. Then I'm gonna target all the divs at once. Can you see this? Div, 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 div. I'm gonna target all of them at once. Just write the div here. Okay, then curly bracket, put display flex. There we go. Now look at the result. Can you see that? But it looks kind of distorted. I mean, it's not aligned horizontally at the x-axis. So what we're gonna use is something called align item center. Look at this, AIC tab, align item center. Now let's look at the result. Look at that, it's aligned at the exact center. All right, guys, now do you see this? Our post and our icons are together, but we're gonna keep them spaced between. So how to do this? Come back to your VS Code and do you see this? Posts, copy that and give it a height, give it a width. Okay, curly bracket. Now we're gonna give it a width of, let's say, I don't know, but 400 pixel. Okay, you can change the value as you like. Let's look at the result. Oh, now what you're gonna do is you're gonna write here JC tab, okay, and then space between, something like this. Look, SB. If you don't see the options, then put this. Okay, control space between, save it. Now look at the result. There we go. This icon and the post are spaced between each other. But if you want to adjust the gap, let's say that you want to put 350, or perhaps you can also put 600 here, no problem, but I'm gonna keep here 400. All right, you can adjust the gap, you can adjust the width as you like. So let's look at the result. So that's that. And now can you see this one? This icons doesn't have any gaps. So let's put gap in between these 2 icons. Okay, so the principles, the rules are the same. Okay, you're gonna first of all, let's remove these things and let's look what do we have. We have something called options. Okay, so let's first of all copy the options, come back here at the bottom. Okay, it's a class, so dot paste curly bracket. Okay, now display flex tab. Now you put a gap of, let's say, I don't know, but 25 pixels will do. You can just adjust the values here. Okay, no problem. So I'm gonna come back here and look at that, we have 25 pixel gap in between the icons. Perfect. Now do you see my mouse? I'm gonna put my mouse on the icons. Look at that, it's not changing the cursor. Okay, so let's fix that. I'm gonna come back here on the CSS and I'm gonna Now I'm going to come here at the very bottom and write I, which stands for the icons, which is actually here. Can you see this I? This is the I tag. So I'm going to target that, then curly bracket. Now I'm going to write here point tab. There we go, cursor pointer. Okay, now let's look at the result. Here, there we go. It's now cursor pointer. Look at that, it's changing my icon. Alright guys, so far so good. We're done with the HTML CSS part. Now we're gonna go to JavaScript and write some JavaScript. Okay, so I'm gonna come back here and on the main.js. Oh, by the way, first of all, you come back to your index HTML, and do you see this region? I'm gonna link the JavaScript here. Okay, script. Do you see the second option, script with a source? Click that, control space. Now you're gonna come to main.js. There you go, we are done linking our JavaScript here. All right, to make you guys understand the CRUD operations in a very easy way, what I did is I made a flow chart for you guys. Look at this. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in here. Look at this. So the very first thing that we have is called the application. Okay, which is actually this one. Do you see our social media app? This is our application. Okay, then what do we have on the flow chart? We have something called the button click submit, which is actually this one. Okay, this is post here. So what this will do is whenever the user clicks this post, is gonna go and trigger a function called form validation. Do you see this here? It's gonna trigger this function, and this function will have two ends. Either it's gonna be successful or it's gonna be a failure. So why success or why failure? That's because look at this. So when our user submits the form blank without writing anything here, then we're gonna go to this state. This is called the failure state. Okay, at the same time, we're gonna get something called an error message. So the error message will actually come here in red color. It's gonna say your message cannot be blank. All right, but if our user writes something here and if they post it, then where are we gonna go? We're gonna go to the success state, and from that success state is gonna trigger all of these functions that are coming after the success state. Okay, so let's build up to this point. Okay, let's build up to this success and up to this failure state. All right, so I'm going to come back to my VS Code here. Now come back to VS Code. Do you see this form here with the ID form? Let's target this inside JavaScript. Okay, so you're going to copy this, come back to main.js and do this. Okay, let form, okay, equal to document dot get element by ID, because that's an ID. Okay, then double quotes, put it here like this. There we go. All right, so we are done targeting our form. Now listen, come back to the Figma flowchart. Now look at this. What do we have? First of all, we have the button click. So let's make that. Okay, so I'm gonna come back here. Look at this. I'm going to first of all target the form. Okay, and I'm gonna add an event listener, something like this. Look, form dot add event listener. All right, so which event listener am I using? It's called the submit. Okay, why? That is because this is our submit button. So let's come back here. I'm gonna write here submit. There we go. All right, now here I'm going to make a callback function. Okay, it's going to be an arrow function. There we go. Now listen, to check whether this button click event is working or not, let's do this. Okay, console.log, I'm going to write here button clicked. Okay, button clicked. Oh, my bad, clicked. There we go. Now let's test the result. I'm going to come back to the result screen. Look at this. I'm going to open up my dev tools. Okay, I'm going to open which one? It's called the console. Okay, the console is opened up here. Now look at this. I'm gonna click the post, but hey, look at this behavior. Every time I post here, look at this behavior. Can you see this? It's refreshing automatically. We need to prevent this, so we're gonna use something called prevent default. Okay, so do this. Okay, you can write anything here, but do this for making it simple. You just write a E here. Okay, or you can write EV or anything you wish. Okay, just put a E here and write here E dot prevent default. Okay, there we go, done. You're gonna write this code, and if you come back here and if you refresh, now look at this. I'm gonna click the post. Look at that button click, but it is not refreshing on itself. Now look at this. I can click this button as much as I like. Okay, and it's gonna update the number here. Can you see this number? It's 15 at the moment. All right, so far so good. We have done this one. Okay, do you see this? Button click submit. We're done with this. Now listen, whenever we click this button, it should trigger a function called form validation. Do you see this? So let's build that function. So I'm going to come back here. Okay, below this one, I'm going to make a function. Okay, let form validation, okay, equal to something like this. Okay, I mean, this is an ES6 function. Here, how many states do I have? Success and the failure state, which means that I'm going to use what? an if else statement. Let's use that. So let's come back here, if, okay, curly bracket and then else. Okay, so on which basis are we building this up? On the basis of whether our user is actually submitting this blank, or are they writing something and then submitting that. So in order to target this text area, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back to my HTML, which is here, okay, and this is text area. Its ID is what? The ID is input. So I'm gonna copy that, copy, okay. Now let's come back to the main.js. Now do this, okay. Target the input like this, okay. Document like this is the same thing. Document just like the one that we did for the form, okay. Get element by ID, and then we're gonna write the input here. There we go, done. Now listen, if our input, which is actually this one, okay, if our input is blank, then we're gonna do this. Look at this. I'm gonna write here console.log, okay. I'm gonna write here failure. But if the form is not blank, then what we're gonna do, we're gonna come to this else and we're gonna write here success. There we go. Now listen, inside this if, do you see this? We're gonna write the input here, okay. Input, oh my bad, sorry. Do you see this input? Okay, copy that, paste it here, then input dot value, okay, equal to, triple equal to sign, then make it blank like this, which means that if our input is blank, then show this one, that we are on a failure state. But if it is not blank, then show success. Now do you know what will happen? It will not work. Why? That is because we didn't invoke it, okay. But before doing this, I have one question for you. Where should you invoke this? This is my question. Should you invoke it outside here like this? Let me actually show you. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to put it here like this. Should you invoke it here, or should you invoke it inside your submit event, which is the question. Here's the answer. If you invoke it here, then do you know how many times it will run? It's going to run only one time. How many times it will run? It's going to run only one time, because JavaScript runs from the top to the bottom, okay, and it's going to run only one time. But if I put it here, do you see this? Submit event listener here. If you put it inside here, then do you know what will happen? Look at this. I'm going to paste it here like this. Every time, look at this. Every time you click the post, it's going to run. Do you want to see a demo? Look at this. I'm going to open my dev tools. So every time you click this post, it's going to work, okay. Look at the console, okay. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Look at this. I'm going to click post. There we go. Now can you see that our button is clicked and we got the failure state? Why? That is because this input is blank. But if you write something here and then if you post it, look at that, button clicked, success. Okay, it's working. But if you put it outside, look at this. If you put it outside like this, okay, now let's go back to the result screen. Now look at that. It's gonna only show us the failure state. Why? That is because by default this is blank. Okay, if I click the post, look at that. We can only see button clicked, but not the function which shows us the validation whether it is success or failure. So I really hope that you understood, and I really hope that you learned something today. So now we're gonna cut it from here and put it inside our submit event listener like this. There we go. So far so good. Now listen, I'm gonna come back here on my result screen and look at this. I'm just submitting it like this. So how will the users know whether this is the success state or the failure state? How will they know? We're gonna give a message here, okay, an error message. So let's build that up. So I'm gonna come back to my index HTML, and below this text area, can you see this? I'm gonna make a div here, okay, div with a class name, or not class name, let's make it ID MSG, okay, it means message, or you can write anything you wish. I'm gonna put here MSG, okay, so it means message. I'm gonna copy that up. I'm gonna go to my style CSS first, and here I'm gonna write hashtag message, okay, curly bracket. Now I'm gonna write here color. I'm gonna make it in the color of red. It means the error color, okay. Now let's come back to main.js and do this, okay. Let MSG is equal to, the same thing, just copy paste it, okay. Save some time here, Control V, copy this up, paste it here like this. There we go. Now look at this. Instead of putting the result, instead of putting the message inside the console, do this, okay. msg.innerHTML, innerHTML is equal to message or post cannot be blank. Okay, after saving it, let's go back to the results screen. Look at this. I'm gonna click post. Look at that. Can you see this? Post cannot be blank in red color. But look at this problem. If I write something here and then if I post it, look at that. It is a success state, but still we have the message. So how to fix this? Come back here. Do you see this one? Message.innerHTML. Copy that up. Come back on the else statement. Okay. Paste it here like this. Equal to, now make it blank like this. There we go. Now let's test the result. Come back here. Post something blank. Look at that. Post cannot be blank. Let's write something here. Post it. Look at that. It's gone. Now let's write something. Let's remove this and post it blank again. Look at that. It's working. Now let's write something. Post it. Look at that. It's working perfectly fine. So look at this. Where are we at the moment? So this is our application. The entire thing is the application. The button click submit is done, which is this line of code. Okay. And this button here. All right. And then we have the form validation function, which is the one that we built just now. Okay, now look at this. We have two states. The failure state, we went to the failure state. We gave the error to the users that their form is blank. At the same time, we made the success state as well, which is this one. Okay, do you see this? Else, this is our success state. Perfect. Now listen, what we're going to do is we're going to accept and store the data. What do I mean by that? Look at this. Do you see this data here? We're gonna right now we're gonna accept and store the data. Okay, so once we are successfully done, so once we're successful in storing the data, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it here like this. Okay, do you see this? Post 1, post 2, we're gonna put it there. Okay, so let's make this function. Okay, so before making the function, do this. Okay, you're gonna make a empty object. Let data is equal to curly bracket. So this is what? This is an object. This is an empty object. All right. Now let's make a function. Let accept data is equal to ES6 function like this. Arrow function. There we go. Now let's understand what's actually happening using this function and using this empty object. So I'm going to come back to my results screen. So look at this. Whatever I write here, we're going to collect that using this function, and then we're going to push it inside this data. Let me show you. Okay, so I'm going to come here and how to collect the data. How to collect the text from here up to my function. You remember this? It's called input dot value. All right, it's called the input dot value. Let's say that you have written your name here. Okay, my name is what? My name is Joy. There we go. Now how to collect that? It's gonna get this name will get collected using this. Now listen, we need to push this one inside here, right? So how to push it? Look at this. Data. Okay, and then you're gonna put here a square bracket like this. Okay, and now we're gonna write something. Okay, we're gonna write a name. Okay, it could be anything. It could be anything you wish, but let's make it simple. Okay, we're gonna name it let's say text. Okay, now you're gonna write here equal to. What we're doing is we're just pushing the data. We're pushing this data inside this object. Okay, so I'm gonna cut it from here. Don't worry, I'm gonna show you the result screen. Okay, so I did this. Now let's actually look at the result by doing what? Console.log. Okay, now I'm gonna do what? I'm gonna pass this data inside. Okay, look at this. I'm gonna copy that, put it here like this. There we go. Now listen, do you know what it will happen? It will not work. Why is that? That is because we need to invoke it. Okay, so instead of like putting it here, what you're gonna do is you're gonna invoke it inside your success state. So do you remember your success state? Here is it. Okay, look at that. So we are inside the success state. Okay, don't invoke it on the form validation. Do you know why? That is because it's gonna look like a different story. Let me actually show you a practical example. So console.log, I'm gonna write it here a string. Okay, I'm gonna write here let's say data data, oh not this one, my bad, data pushed. Okay, now invoke it inside where your submit event listener, something like this. Look at that. Oh my bad. Now let's go back to the results screen and look at this. I'm going to open the console. Now listen, every time we click the post, look at this. Can you see this one? Button clicked, failure, because this is blank. And then do you see this? Data pushed. Where is the data? We didn't write anything here, but why is it pushing the data inside? This is the behavior that we don't want. Now look at this. I'm going to write something and then I'm going to post. Look at that. We have another state, button clicked, success, then data pushed. This is what we want. Every time our user writes something inside, every time our user does what? Writes something here, we want to collect that only that time. So it means that we should be on the success state, and every time the user writes something, we need to collect that. That's why instead of putting it here, we're gonna put it where? Inside our success state. By the way, this is the failure state, okay? Don't put it here, put it here like this. Look at that. There we go. Now let's look at the result here. Okay, look at this. I'm gonna write it. I'm gonna post it blank. Look at that. Button clicked, failure. Now let's write it something here like this. Now post it. Look at that. Button clicked, success, data pushed. Okay, which means that our data is successfully inside this object. So far so good. Now let's look at the real result. Okay, I'm gonna remove this one from here, and do you see this one object? I'm gonna copy that, put it here like this. There we go. Now let's look at the result. I'm gonna come back here. Now I'm gonna hit F12. Now look at this. Post, button click, failure. This is the empty. Now let's write something here. Submit it here like this. Look at that. We have something called text. Do you see that? Yeah, we have the text, and then we have the data here. Let me just write my name here like this. Joy is a bad teacher, which is true. Okay, I'm a bad teacher. Joy is a bad teacher. If I click submit, look at that. Button click, success, and Joy is a bad teacher. Look at that. We got our object here. So far so good. We are done successfully accepting and storing the data. What did we do? We accepted the data, and then we stored it where? Inside this empty object. Now listen, what we're going to do right now is we're going to upload the data in the screen. Where? Okay, look at this. I'm going to upload it. I'm going to upload this inside my post here. So let's do that. So I'm going to come back here, and look at this. Let is going to be create post. Okay, something like this. There we go. Now inside here, what I'm gonna do is oh, by the way, first of all, let's come back to our index HTML. And do you remember this one? Do you remember this div with the ID posts? It carries all of our posts. Like if I fold my code like this, look at this. We have first of all a div here, another div here. Okay, these are all like this div carries posts. All right. Now look at this. I'm gonna copy this up. Okay, and then I'm gonna target this here. Look at this. Let post equal to, like, copy paste it, save some time please, because time is valuable these days. Copy this up, post it here like this. There we go. Now listen, I'm gonna copy this up. Now look at this. I'm gonna scroll to here, create post. Okay, now inside here I'm gonna paste it like this, post.innerHTML. Okay, equal to, then what I'm gonna do, look at this, I'm gonna target this one. Do you see this? Data.text. Then it's gonna push the data inside our result screen live. Let me show you the demo. Okay, so look at this. You just copy this from here, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and do you see this double quote and the bracket? Remove this like this. Okay, there we go, and just put a dot here. Once that's done, here's a question for you. Where will you invoke it? Where will you invoke it? So look at this chain of command. Look at this chain. Okay, so I have my success state here. Okay, we are actually here. Don't look at the failure state, because that's already defined and complete. We need to complete this chain here. So look at this, accept and store data. Where did we invoke it? Inside the success. Look at this. Where did we invoke the accept data? Inside the success, right? Now look at this chain. Now where will we upload, like where will we invoke the function, the upload on screen function? We're gonna invoke it inside here. Okay, so if I come back here, look at this, create post, I'm gonna invoke it here. All right, then it's gonna work something like this. Look, copy, and then I'm gonna put it here like this. Okay, there we go. Now let's look at the what? Let's look at the result. I'm gonna come back to the result screen. Now I'm gonna write something. Watch carefully. Post. Look at that. We got it. Now let's write my name, Joy. Okay, is a bad teacher. Look at that. I'm also a bad typer. I made some spelling mistakes, my bad. I'm gonna post it here. Look at that. Joy is a bad teacher. All right, I made a little mistake here, my bad. All right, so that's that. Now, but here's the question. Why is the previous data disappearing. Why is that? And how to fix it? The fix is very simple. You just put a plus. You wanna see? Look at this. You just put a plus here. Done. Now look at that. The previous data will not get erased. Look at that. Joy is a bad teacher. I'm gonna post it. Look at that. The previous data is not going away. It is already here. Now let's write something. You're a good student. There we go. Now let's post it here like this. There we go. But look at this. It's on the same line. But hey, nothing is getting removed. But still, it's on the same line. So how do we fix it? Look at this. So do you remember our div here? Here. Look at this. It got everything that we need. It's like, consider this as a template. What is it? It is a template. Consider this like a template, and do you see this post one? Except this text. Everything should work like a template. Yeah? So do this. Copy this. Come back to your main.js, and do you see this data.text? Do this. Okay. First of all, let's put it like this. Now here you're gonna put backticks. This is to use what? It is called a template literal in JavaScript. All right. Now here I'm gonna paste the code that I just copied. Okay. This is what? This is my this is the template that we're gonna use to generate us what? Buttons. Can you see these buttons here? It got everything that we need. And do you see this one? I'm gonna cut it. And do you see this? I'm gonna remove this by writing $, curly bracket. Now I'm gonna put the variables here. Look at that. Okay. Now let's look at the result. If I come back here, if I write something here, if I post it, look at that. Oh, post here like this. Look at that. We got our input. We got our buttons here. There we go. Now let's write something else. Joy is a bad teacher. Now let's write something else. Okay. Joy needs a promotion. I guess promotion. Okay. I just made some spelling mistakes. I'm so bad at typing. My bad. If I post it here, look at that. We got our post here. At the same time, what? At the same time, we got our icons here. Look at that. Can you see this icon? We also got our icons. Perfect. This is what we need. Now let's look at our what is it called? Figma file. Okay. Now look at this. We are where we have accepted and stored the data. We have uploaded that on the screen. Now we have two more states to be. Two more functions to build, which is called the delete. Okay. And then the update. By the way, do you see this one? We have something called the reset the form. So what is this? Let me explain. Okay. So if I come back here, look at this. Joy needs a promotion. Okay. If you post it here, let's say that you need to write another post. Now what do you have to do? You have to physically remove it. And then you have to write it again. Now if you post it here, look at this. You have to physically remove it again. And then you have to write it here. So this is a behavior that we don't want. We want it every time we post here, it should be automatically reset. So how to do this? It's very simple. Do you see this one? Create post. So the moment we are done posting it, we're gonna make the what is it called? Input blank. Look at this. Input. Oh, not this one. Sorry. Input. Oh, my bad. Input dot value. Make it blank like this. Look at that. Done. Now let's try our result. Write something. Post. Look at that. It's blank. Now write something else. Look at that. Okay. So look at this. So when we are resetting the form, it's going back to our original state, which is the application itself. Like, look at this. Okay. If I refresh, look at this state here. Okay. It's a fresh state. So every time we're resetting the form, it's refreshing. It's just removing everything from our input. Something like this. Look at that. Okay. Something like this. There we go. I really hope that you understood how this is working here. And now look at this. We need to build two more functions, the update and the delete. All right. So whatever we do, whether we update our post or we delete our post, we can always see that on the results screen, which is why I wrote this upload on the screen. You see that? Perfect. So now let's do this. I'm going to come back to my VS Code here, and you can also fold your code. Do you see this little chevron here? Click that. Okay. You fold your code like this. Now it looks much neat and clean. All right. Okay. Done. Now here I'm going to write here a function. Okay. Let delete. Okay. Delete function. There we go. Now inside I made a mistake somewhere, I guess. Let. All right, guys, it's showing me an error here. So instead of the delete, I'm going to write a delete post. Okay. It makes more sense. Look at that. The error is gone. All right, so inside of here, I'm gonna delete my post. So what I'm gonna do, like, where should I trigger this? Okay, if you're thinking that you need to trigger this inside this icon, then you are right. Good job. Here's a clap for you. Good job. Yeah. I mean, you need to trigger this inside this icon. Okay, only then it will work. Why? That's because every time, oh my bad, sorry. Every time you click this delete icon, it will just trigger this function, which is the delete post function. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna come to this trash. Okay, and then I'm gonna write here on capital letter C, L-I-C-K. Okay, on click equal to double quotes like this. Now do you see this function here? Copy that, put it here like this. Okay, now invoke it like this. There we go, done. But hey, look at this. We're gonna use something called this. So what is the this? I mean, what is this? So if you write this here, then it's gonna target only this icon. Let me show you why. So how many icons can you see here? 1, 2. So if you put your mouse on here, only this post will get deleted, not this one. You got the point, right? So that's why we use this to target only one piece. Wherever we put our mouse, let's say I have put my mouse here on the first one, not on the second one. If I click on this, it is going to delete only this one, not this one. I really hope that you understood it. So let me give you a practical demo. So this is this here. I also have to like write something here inside this argument. I can write anything I wish, but let's keep it simple. I'm going to write here E. Okay, E, and then look at this, E dot remove, like this, remove. All right, now let's look at the result. So I'm going to come back here. Look at this. I'm going to click, I'm going to make a post here. I'm going to post it like this. If I click it here, look at that. The delete button is gone. Huh? Where is it? It's gone. Let's write something here like this. Look at that. If I click here, look at this. These icons are not going away. Only this one will go away. Look at that. Okay. So that's why we use this to target only one piece. Wherever we put our mouse into, it's going to target only that. Nobody else. And by the way, you also have a question like, why is this one not working, right? Why is this one not working? That's because we are inside the JavaScript. We wrote this function inside the JavaScript. So if I copy this, if I come back to the index HTML, do you see this one? You can put it here like this. Like this one is not invoking any functions. Do it like this, copy that, and do you see the second form? Put it here as well, because we have two dummy posts. Now come back here and delete post number 2. Look at that. It's gonna only delete the icon, not the whole thing. Why is that? That's because we are only targeting where's my JavaScript? Here is it. That's because we are only targeting only one single icon. So we need to delete what? This entire parent. Can you see this div? This is the parent. We need to delete this entire thing. So I need to like go up one level up. So if I try to go one level up, it is what? Who is the parent of this icon? Tell me. Who is the parent of this icon? It is the span. So how will I reach the span? I'm going to use something called parent. So I'm going to write something called a parent element. Let me write it here so that you can check the spelling. Parent, okay, element. There we go. This is the spelling. Don't make a spelling mistake. If you are not sure about the spelling, just Google it. Okay, I'm going to cut it from here, put it here like this, and put a dot. Now after saving it, let's go back to the results. You can look at that. If I click on the this one, look at that. It's gonna delete the entire set of icons. Let me just write something here and post it. Look at that. If I click it here again, it's gonna delete only the icon sets. Why is that? Why is it not deleting the entire thing? That's because of this one. Look at this. What are we targeting? First of all, understand this. We are here. We have targeted what? Something called parent element, which means that we're only targeting the span, not the main parent. So how do I do this? How do I target that? Look at that. You just repeat the same thing. You copy, you put it here like this, you put a dot here. Look at that. Problem solved. Now let's come back to the results screen and test. Okay, look at this. I'm gonna write something here and I'm gonna post. Look at that. If I delete this, it's gonna delete the entire thing. Look at that. Problem solved. Now let's delete this one. Look at that. It's gonna delete the entire thing. Let's write joy needs a raise. Okay. Now if I post here, look at that. Okay, it's gonna come back here, and if I click the delete, it's gonna go away. It's gonna take the entire thing with it. So that's that. Now let's check where we are. So we are on the delete state. Okay, once we click the delete, it's gonna upload that on the screen. There we go. Alright guys, time to make the update function, but first let's actually inspect what do we exactly want. So let's come back to our project here and listen, look at this posts here. Okay, let me just write something here and then post. Look at this. Okay, let's say that I want to edit this. So I want, whenever I click this one, I want the text to come back here. At the same time, I want this to be removed, so that when the text comes here, I can make my final edit and then post back there again. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to come back here and to my main.js. Let me just zoom in a little bit so that you can see it better. There we go. Now at the very bottom, okay, I'm going to make a new function. Okay, let edit post, something like this. Okay, now let's make an ES6 function. It should be just like the delete post. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the exact same thing on the edit icon as well. So I'm going to copy this one. Okay, now I'm gonna put it here like this. There we go. At the same time, I have to remove, I have to update this one. So I'm gonna do this one, edit post, copy that, put it here like this. There we go, save it. Now we have to copy this portion and put it back in the HTML as well, since we have two dummy posts there, which is actually where is it? Here. Do you see this? I'm gonna paste the same thing here like this. Okay, save it. Now do the same thing for this one as well, save it. Okay, so let's look at the result. Okay, if you click here, then nothing will happen because we didn't define anything on the function, which is actually this one. Now look at this. I'm gonna also pass an e here. Okay, you can write anything you wish, no problem. Let's keep it simple. Okay, let's put an e here so that we can capture this. Okay, so the next thing that we're gonna do is, look at this. Every time I click on this one, every time I click on any of the edit buttons, I want the text to go back there. So how to do it? Let me show you. So I'm going to come at the very top. You remember we had something called input. We're going to copy the input, scroll to the very bottom here. Okay, now paste it here like this. Dot value equal to, do you see this e? Where is this? Like, where am I? Every time I click on the edit icon, I will be here. Okay, so I have to target which one? I have to target this one. So how will I target that? First of all, we're gonna grab this from here. We're gonna jump one level up to here. Okay, and now look at this p and the span. Do you see this? They are actually sibling to each other. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write here e dot parent element. I don't have to write it, just copy that and then you just put it here like this. Okay, now we need to select the previous sibling. Okay, so in order to target that, there is a property called previous element sibling. If you have issues with making spelling mistakes, then don't worry, just write here previous element sibling js. Okay, now hit enter, then you're gonna get it. Okay, do you see this one? Just copy that, come back here and you're gonna put it here like this after putting a dot. Okay, paste it here like this. So what are we doing? We're jumping from here to here to here. Now we're gonna target whatever is inside here. So how to do it? Look at this. We're gonna dot inner HTML, something like this. Now, oh sorry, now save it. Now let's actually look at the result. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to the result screen here. Look at this. Every time I click on the post, every time I click on the edit icon, whatever is written here is coming here. So I have the ability to edit this one. But hey, look at this. If I write here post 5 instead of the post 2, if I click on the post, look at that, this is not going away, but we want this one to go away. So in order to implement that, what we're gonna do is, you remember this portion, you just copy this one and put it here, back here like this, and it will work perfectly fine. Let me show you. So I'm gonna come back here. Look at this. I'm gonna write here, let's say I'm gonna make a spelling mistake in my name. Okay, Joy, something like this. I'm gonna post here. Look at that. Okay, my name is here, but there is a spelling mistake. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click on edit. Look at that, the post is removed, and look at this one, all the text content are actually inside back here. So I have the ability to edit. Look at this. I'm gonna edit this one like this, Joy. Now I'm gonna post like this. There we go, it's working properly fine. Alright guys, so far so good. We're successful in building this project. So we have learned the CRUD basics by building a social media app. Now we're gonna build this TODO app using the CRUD principles knowledge that we learned from the previous project. So look at this. I have the ability to create a new task. Let's say that I'm gonna write here task number 3. Okay, let's pick a date, something like this, and now let's give a description. Let's say that learn Okay, Node.js, something like this. Now I'm gonna click on the add. There we go. Our new task is here. Let's add another task here. Let's say task number 4. Let's pick a date like this. There we go. And now let's give some description. Okay, go to bed early, something like this. Now let's click on the add. Look at that. If I scroll down, then I can see all the other tasks like this. Look at that. I have the ability to delete a task, and I have the ability to edit a task as well. So let's say that I'm going to delete this one. Okay, task number 2, something like this. There we go. Now let's say that I'm going to edit this task number 3. So how do I do it? Look at this. I'm going to click on the edit. Look at it. This is the task number 3, learn Node.js. So instead of this one, what I'm going to write is learn CRUD application using JS. There we go. Now look at this. I have edited the description, and now I'm going to edit the date like this and edit the from tax 3 to, let's say I'm going to write here tax number 7. Now click on the add. Now look at that. It's at the very bottom here. Okay. So guys, we're going to build this project right now. So let's get started. Alright guys, if you don't feel like coding, then do this. You come over to my GitHub repository and you're going to come here. Okay. And then you're going to get the index HTML and the CSS file. So you copy paste the code from here, and you're going to get the timestamp in the description down below. Through that, you continue with me on the JavaScript part only. But if you're interested in learning how I build the entire system up, which is actually this one, how I did this using both the HTML and CSS, you're most welcome. Okay, you can follow along with me. So I'm going to come here on my desktop. Okay, I'm going to right click, create a new folder like this. Okay, I'm going to write it to minus do minus app like this. Okay, and we have the CRUD basics here. That's gonna stay there, and we're gonna right click, open with VS Code. Then do you see this region? I'm gonna create 3 files. Okay, index HTML, style CSS, main.js, something like this. There we go. Now I'm gonna zoom out a little bit like this so that you can see it better. And look at this. I'm gonna come over to index HTML and create a exclamatory sign tab. This is my boilerplate code. Okay, I'm gonna write here TODO app. Okay, TODO app. There we go. Oh, let me write it clearly. There we go. All right, we have written this so far, and this is body. Whatever we write, we're gonna write everything inside one single div. Let me show you something. I'm gonna come over here. Do you see this? I have made this entire project inside one single div. Okay, so I'm gonna come here and write one single div with a class name. Look at this, .app. Okay. There we go. We're gonna write everything inside here. Now look at this. If I come back here, by the way, I have actually zoomed in. So this is actually 100%. If I zoom in through my control and mouse wheel, I can zoom in like this or zoom out. Okay. Now look at this. What do we have? This is called a H4 tag. Okay. And this is a H5 tag. Okay. Let's build that up right now. So come back here inside app. Okay. So I'm gonna write here H4 tab. Okay. To app. Okay, and on the next one you write H5 tab. Okay, tasks. There we go. And what else do we have in between? Let's check. So do you see this button here? This is called the add new button. So how do we build this? Look at this. Come back here, and between these 2 tags you're gonna write hashtag add new tab. There we go. Inside here we're gonna create a span. Okay, tab. Now what we're gonna write is, do you see this text, add new task? I'm gonna write it here like this. Okay, add new task. There we go. Perfect. By the way, if I come back here, do you see this button here? This is what? This is font awesome icon. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to fontawesome.com. Okay, and by the way, you come over to my GitHub repository as well. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna scroll down here. Do you see this? I have included the font awesome CDN. You just grab it like this, come over to your HTML. Do you see this? Paste it anywhere like this. All right, now at the bottom of this you link your style sheet. Okay, control space, here we go. At the bottom you include your script, which is the JavaScript SCR with the source, control space, you give it like this. There we go. Save it. Okay, now let's go back to our font awesome. Here I'm gonna write a plus, enter. So do you see this plus here? I'm gonna grab this one. All right, then I'm gonna scroll down, and do you see this? Start using this icon. I'm gonna copy this one, come back here, and do you see this span? I'm gonna paste it below the span like this. There we go. I'm gonna save it. Now let's look at the result by right click, open with live server. This one. There we go. We have this result so far. All right, now look at this. On the finalized project, do you see this? we have a fixed width and a height. Okay, the width is 300 pixels by 500 pixels. Along with that, we have a border and a border radius here. So let's do that. So I'm going to come back here, and do you see this app? I'm going to copy this one. Okay, by the way, you also need to include your style sheet here. Okay, otherwise your style sheet will not work. So come back here, and I'm going to put dot paste like this. Okay, curly bracket. I'm going to give here width of 300 pixels. Okay, there we go. And a height of how much? 500 pixels. Okay, save it. But you cannot see this on the results screen. Do you know why? Because we need to add a border, otherwise you can't see it. Okay, so I'm going to add border 2px solid only red. Okay, initially let's see what happens. Okay, then we're going to change the color. So let's go back to the results screen. Look at that, we can see that. Alright guys, you can see this result so far, but we're not gonna use the red color. Okay, we're gonna use this color. Okay, so I'm gonna come back here and use this red. I'm gonna remove this. I'm gonna write hashtag and I'm gonna paste the color here. Okay, you take a moment and you write this on your VS Code. Okay, now let's go and look at the result. Okay, I forgot to save it. Control S. By the way, do you see this border? I'm gonna put 5 here. Okay, save it. Let's go back. Look at that, we have this so far, but we're also gonna use a border radius. Okay, so let's do that. Border radius of how much? Let's say 8 pixel. Save it. Let's look at the result. Yep, there we go. And do you see this region here? We're gonna add some padding. Okay, padding of 15 pixel. Okay, something like this. Look, padding on all sides. Okay, 15 pixels. Save it. Let's look at the result. There we go. All right, now we're gonna replace the font family with sans serif. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna come here, write body curly bracket, and then you're gonna write ff tab. Okay, ss control space sans serif, enter. There we go. Let's look at the result. Yep, it looks different. But now look at this. If I go to the original project, do you see this background color and do you see this background color? These two are actually different. Let's do that. Okay, first of all, I'm going to come back here and write BGC tab. Okay, here copy this color. Okay, E5 E5 E5. Okay, and on this app you're gonna write BGC tab, make it white color. Okay, now let's look at the result. Yep, it looks like our original project, like this one. Okay, look at that, these two colors are different. And do you see that this is at the exact center, but this is on the left side? But don't worry, okay, we're gonna change that. I mean, we're gonna put this one on the exact center once we're done with the project. Okay, all right guys, next up we're gonna design this one. Okay, so do you see this background color here? We have a background color. Okay, at the same time we have a different background color for this plus icon. Okay, so let's build that up right now. So I'm gonna go back to my CSS. Okay, do you see this app here? Below this one I'm gonna write a hashtag. Okay, so which one am I targeting? Look at this first. Do you see this add new? This is what? This is an ID. So I'm gonna grab this one and come back here and write add new. Okay, don't make any spelling mistakes, otherwise it's not gonna work. So listen, I'm gonna add a background color here. Okay, first of all, background color. So I'm gonna paste a color here. You do one thing. Okay, you just take a moment, pause this video and copy paste this color on your VS Code. Okay, let's look at the result after saving it. Okay, save it. Let's look at that. There we go, we have a background color here. Okay, now what we want is we want them to be spaced between. One should be here, another one should be on the right side. Let's do that. We're gonna use display flex. Okay, so since this is the parent, and do you see this? This is the parent and these two are the children. Okay, so we're gonna see the immediate result. Can you see that? But hey, look at this, this is not at the exact center. Okay, the plus and the add new, it is not at the exact center on the x-axis. So what we're going to use is something called AIC. Okay, look at this AIC tab, which is align item center. Let's look at the result. Look at that, now they are on the exact center. Now let's keep them spaced between. So JC tab, okay, SB control space. There we go, save it. Let's look at the result. There we go, bam. Okay, now look at that, we're going to also add some padding around this content. At the same time we're going to also use some border radius. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to add padding P tab. Okay, 5 pixel for the top and bottom, and for the left and right 10 pixel. Okay, and for the border radius I'm going to use, I don't know, but 5 pixel I guess. You can change this value as much as you like. Let's save it. Look at the result. Yeah, there we go, it looks beautiful. Also now look at this. Okay, I'm going to put my mouse here. Can you see that we don't have any changes, but we want the mouse to be cursor pointer. So let's come back here and write here curpoi. Okay, curpoi tab. There we go. Then let's look at the result. Yep, it's changing. Okay, so the main idea is whenever we click on this one, we want the modal to appear just like this one. Okay, do you see my mouse? I'm going to put it here, click it. Look at that, we're getting this modal so that we can input our input forms. Okay, I'm going to close this one. Let's come back here and let's change this button. Okay, so I'm gonna come back here, and do you see this one? It's written what? FA minus plus. Okay, now target this inside style CSS. By the way, this is a class, right? Come back here and write dot FA minus plus. Okay, don't make any spelling mistakes. Now look at this. I'm gonna write BGC tab. Now look at this. I'm gonna paste a color here. Okay, you take a moment and write this on your VS Code. Then I'm gonna add some padding. Okay, padding of 3 pixel on all sides and border radius of 3 pixel as well. Save it. Let's look at the result. There we go. It looks very good. Alright guys, next up we're gonna build this task cards here. Do you see this? So let's go back to HTML first and write the markup. Okay, so do you see this H4? Do you see this div with the ID add new, and then the H5? So below this, all of this, we're gonna make a ID. Okay, hashtag TASKS. Okay, why did I make it plural and why did I make an ID? That's because I'm gonna target this inside my JavaScript. At the same time, I wrote it plural because whatever tasks I'm gonna directly inject it inside here using JavaScript. Let me show you. Okay, so I'm gonna come back here, and do you see this? If I hit the plus sign like this, I can write anything I wish, something like this. I can also include a date, and whenever I click the add, do you see that using JavaScript I have injected all the inputs inside here and made it a card? That's why I'm gonna use this one. Okay, so inside here, look at this. Okay, every card will carry itself a div. Okay, so what I mean by that is, look at this. If I have, let's say, 3 cards, which means that we're gonna have 3 divs like this. Okay, there we go. Here I'm gonna write task 1, on the next one is gonna be task 2, on the next one is gonna be task 3, something like this, which means that every task, every card will carry 1 div like this. Now look at this. Do you see this task 1? I will not directly output it like this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a span like this. Okay, and then I'm gonna paste it here like this. There we go. I'm gonna use another span like this, and I'm gonna output a date. So what's the date today? It's 2022. It's January. It's 20th of January 2022. There we go. That's the date. All right, and on the next, then we're gonna make a p tag here. Okay, it will describe what the task is actually meant to do. Let's say that going to gym going to gym to watch Netflix, I guess. Netflix. There you go. All right, so this is your task. Okay, the task number 1 is to go to the gym to watch Netflix. There we go. If I look at the result, then we can't see any changes because it's raw. Okay, we need to add styles to this. Let's come back here and do this. Okay, below this one we're gonna have another span. Okay, span dot options. So if you guessed it that we're gonna add some buttons here, our font awesome icons, then you are right. So we're gonna have the edit and the delete buttons here. So let's go back to our font awesome here, right here, edit. Okay, do you see the first one? I'm gonna grab the first one. Okay, or you can grab any one you like. Scroll down, start using this icon. Okay, copy that one, and then you're gonna write here delete. Okay, delete. In the meantime, I'm gonna go back to VS Code. I'm gonna paste it here like this. There. Oh, not here. Sorry. Here. There we go. Let's go back here. Do you see this delete? I'm gonna grab this one, or you can grab any one you like. Okay, scroll down, start using this icon, copy that up, come back here, paste it like this, boom. And now look at this. I'm gonna copy paste the same thing inside here as well, something like this. Look. Okay, copy that up, come back here, remove this one with this one, paste. And for this project I'm gonna have only 2 dummy tasks. Okay, so something like this. Look, task number 2 this is, and this is task number 1. I don't need the task number 3, so I'm going to remove that like that. Save it. Let's look at the result initially. Okay, it looks like this. It looks horrible, but don't worry. Okay, we're going to change that up. After adding the styles to this, it should look something like this. There we go. We can also scroll here. Do you see this? We have a scrolling feature here as well. If I click the plus, if I write here something like this, if I write it here, look at that. So if I scroll down, then you can see the new task got added at the bottom here like this. There we go. Alright guys, let's go back to the VS Code, and we're gonna give a background color to our task, something like this. Look. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back here. Do you see these tasks here? I'm gonna grab this one. Okay, something like this. Look. Hashtag TASKS. Don't make any spelling mistakes. And inside here I'm gonna target all the divs. Okay, because these divs are actually carrying our single task. Okay, something like this. Look, div. Okay, curly bracket, and here I'm going to write BGC tab. Now look at this color. Okay, you pause the video, take some time and copy paste this on your screen. Okay, so save it. Let's look at the result. There we go. We have, but we got this, but we don't see any difference. But don't worry. Okay, we're gonna change that up. So I'm gonna go back here and I'm gonna give a border. Okay, border. Okay, here 3 pixel solid, and I'm gonna scroll up. Okay, so do you see this color? I'm gonna copy that. Oh, my bad. Copy that. Come back here. Hashtag. Paste it here like this. There we go. Let's look at the result. We have this so far, but we don't have any gap in between. But don't worry guys, we're gonna give that gap. Okay, so let's come back here again. We're gonna add some padding. Do you see this here? We don't have any padding inside the tasks, so let's go back here and add padding to all sides, 5 pixel. At the same time, we're gonna add border radius, not this one, border radius of 6 pixel, but you can adjust the values as you like. Let's look at the result. There we go. It looks very nice. Alright guys, time to put some gap in between these cards. Okay, so how do we do it? Come back here and do this one here. This is the parent. Okay, copy that, come here, paste it, curly bracket, write DG tab. Okay, display grid. Let's look at the result. We can't see any difference, so in order to see the difference, do this. Okay, gap, put here 14. Okay, gap tab 14 pixels. Save it, look at the result. There we go. Can you see that we have gap in between our cards? Brilliant. And if you want to put some gap in between this content, you can do that as well. So you're gonna come here and do you see this tasks div, you're gonna write here DG tab. Okay, gap of 4 pixels. All right guys, now save it. Let's look at the result. We have this so far. Okay, let's compare this with our final project. So do you see any similarities between this one and this one? Yes, we're almost there. Some more stylings are left to do. Okay, so let's do that right now. By the way guys, I'm sorry to say, but I actually use Bootstrap in this project. But hey, wait. If you don't know Bootstrap, don't worry. I'm going to teach you how to use Bootstrap, okay? So if I come to the finalized project, do you see this? I'm going to use a plus. Do you see this component? I only imported this component using Bootstrap, okay? I'm going to teach you how I did it, okay? Don't worry about it. I'm going to teach you, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Bootstrap, getbootstrap.com, okay? You're going to come to docs. Do you see the introduction? You're going to come here and do you see the CSS? Copy this. Okay, come back here and on the index HTML. Okay, let me just maximize it at the very top. Okay, paste it anywhere, but I'm gonna paste it here like this. Save it. Look at that, we got this one so far, and you're gonna go back, go to the very bottom, do this. Okay, come here and this is bundle here. You're gonna copy the bundle like this. Okay, come back here, paste it here, paste it like this. Okay, there we go. All right, so far so good. Now if you want to test whether Bootstrap is working or not, let's do this. Okay, can you see these tasks here? We're gonna put it at the very center. So how to do it? Using Bootstrap. Look at this. Where is it actually? Here's our tasks. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so that you can see it better. Look at this. I'm gonna write a class here. Okay, class, and then I'm gonna write here text minus center, which means that put this at the exact center. Now look at the result. Can you see that? It came on the exact center using what? Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is what? Bootstrap is very easy to use. Okay, don't worry. Okay, because whatever I write here, I'm gonna explain what it does. All right, so let's go back here and do you see that we don't have any gap at the top and the bottom? Let's put some gap at the top and the bottom. Okay, of the tasks. Okay, this one. So how do I do it? Look at this. I'm gonna use margin. Okay, so M means margin in Bootstrap. Okay, Y means margin top and bottom. Okay, we have 5 levels from 0 to 1 2 3 4 5. So I'm going to use level 3 like this. Save it. Let's look at the result. There we go. We have this result so far. Perfect. And do you see this? We're going to put some gap here as well. So how to do it? Same process. You just copy the class, put it here like this. Okay, equal to double quotes. You're going to put MB minus 3. MB means margin bottom level 3. Okay, save it. Let's look at the result. There we go. We have this result so far. Brilliant. Perfect. Now guys, do you see this task 1? We're gonna make it bolder, just like this one. Okay, do you see this, how bold it is? So how to do it? Okay, let me show you. So you're gonna come back here and on the tasks. Okay, inside here, do you see this span? I'm gonna write a class here. Okay, class, I'm gonna write a FW minus bold. Okay, FW means font weight bold. Okay, save it. Let's look at the result. There we go. Can you see that we can compare this one with this one? Compare this. Okay, you can see, find the difference. So I'm gonna do the same thing for this one as well. Let's go back here, scroll down, open this up, and right here, copy paste the same thing to save some time. Okay, something like this. There we go. I'm gonna put here 2. Look at that, we got this result so far. Now can you see this date? I'm gonna make it smaller and I'm gonna make it a little bit gray color. Okay, so how to do it? Look at this. I'm gonna target first of all this one. Okay, I'm gonna write here class. First of all, I'm gonna write here small. Okay, and then text minus secondary. Okay, secondary, don't make any spelling mistakes. After doing that, let's look at the result. Look at that, can you see that it got a little bit gray color? I mean, compare this one with this one. These two are different. At the same time, it went a little bit smaller compared to this one and this one as well. So let's apply the same thing on this one as well. I mean, you can just compare this one and with this one. You can find the difference. Okay. So let's go back here, copy this one like this, scroll down and put it here like this. Oh, not here. Save it. Let's look at the result. Beautiful. Excellent. Alright guys, next up we're gonna put those buttons on the exact center. Let's do that. So let's go back to VS Code, and do you remember the class for our edit and delete button? It's actually called options. Do you see this? Inside the options we have both our edit and delete. Okay, so I'm gonna copy this one, come back to style CSS. At the very bottom I'm gonna paste it here like this. Okay, dot paste like this. Okay, curly bracket. Now listen, since this is a direct children of our div, this one. Okay, so this is a children of this one. So do you see this? We have the display grid enabled here, which means that we can also use a property called justify self, and we can write here center like this. Now save it. Let's look at the result. There we go, we have got it on the exact center. But hey, if you want to put some gap in between here, you can do it as well. For that, you gotta write display flex and you gotta put the gap to 20 pixel or any value you like. Now let's look at the result. That's that. But hey, do you see my icon? It doesn't change when I hover over here, but if I hover over here, you can see that it's cursor pointer. Let's do that. So I'm gonna come here. You can do this. Okay, you can just copy that up like this and paste it, and then target the I means what? I means icon, which is actually this one. Okay, let's come back here and right here car point tab. There we go. Now save it. Let's look at the result. There we go, that's our result so far. Alright guys, so far so good. Next up, do you see this component? If I click here plus like this, look at that, we have this model here. We're gonna import this model from Bootstrap. So come over to get Bootstrap and right here model. Okay, model, enter. There we go. Now do this. Okay, you're gonna scroll down, not this one. Okay, don't touch that. Do you see this live demo here? Click on this one. Do you see this? This is called a model. Okay, you can just click here, save changes or close. You can do whatever you like with this. Okay, so we're gonna use this one. Okay, so what you're gonna do right now is you're gonna copy the entire thing. Okay, something like this. Look, copy. Now let's go back here to index HTML. Okay, do this. Okay, you close your task like this. Okay, close this entire task like this. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna paste the entire thing here like this. Not here actually. Yeah, here. Now you're gonna paste it here like this. Okay, Control V. There we go. Okay, now do one thing. Do you see this model? You close it like this real quick. Save it. Now let's look at the result. We have this result so far. Do you see this launch demo model? I'm gonna click here. Look at that, it's working perfectly fine. But hey, we need to do a lot of changes. Instead of clicking this button, what I want is when I click on this one, the model should pop up. So how to do is, look at this. So this is model, not this one, sorry. This is button trigger model. Do you see what's written here? It's called database toggle model, and this one you're gonna cut it. You're literally gonna cut it like this. Okay, Control X. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna come up here. Do you see this div with ID add new? I'm gonna zoom out a little bit like this, and I'm gonna paste it here like this. Can you see that? So far so good. Let's replace this like this. Let's look at the result. Now if I click the plus here, look at that, we got ourselves a model. Brilliant, beautiful. Now let's go back here, and do you see this one, the div with the ID example model? Let's replace that with form. Okay, FORM like this, so that we can target that on the JavaScript part as well. But hey, since I replaced this, we also need to replace this one. Okay, so let me actually show you. Do you see that this name and this name is actually matching, which means that we have to write matching names and IDs as well. So I'm gonna write here form as well, form, copy that up, put it here like this. There we go. And this is div. I'm gonna replace this div. I'm gonna convert this div to a form like this. Look at that, form. At the same time, don't forget to change this one as well. So let's open this up right now, and this is modal title here. Instead of this one, what I'm gonna write is, let's go back to the result. I mean the original project. If I click here, look at that, we have add new task. So I'm gonna copy that up, come back here, and do you see this? I'm gonna paste it here like this. There we go. I'm gonna save it. Let's go back here, and what else do we have? We have something called the close and the add. Okay, come back here. Do you see this? We have the close and we have save changes. I'm going to replace that with what? Add. Save it. There we go. Let's look at our own result, which is actually this one. If I click on here, look at that, add new task, and then we don't have anything else. Let's fill this up with content. I mean the content of our input. Okay, this is called the input type text. Let me actually show you. Okay, then you can understand it. Do you see this modal body here? I'm gonna write it here like this: input colon text. Do you see this text? Enter. Do you see this name here and the ID? We're gonna write an ID here, but first let's actually understand. Okay, then we have input type date. Do you see this? Enter. Then we have the text area. There we go. Save it. Let's look at the result. Here is it. Okay, if I click plus, look at that, we have the input type text here. Okay, if I write here like this, then we can write our task name. If I click on this one, look at that, we have the date. And if I write here, then we can get the description. I mean the description of the task. Okay, now look at this, we don't have any styles on our form inputs, but this one has styles. How to add styles here without even writing the CSS? Follow along with me. Okay, we're gonna use what? Bootstrap. So I'm gonna write here class, okay, form minus control. Save it. Let's look at the result. Look at that, the styles are automatically applied here. Can you see the difference between this one and this one here? Look at that. Let's apply the same thing on those things as well. Just copy this one, paste it here like this, paste it here, paste it here like this as well. Save it. Let's look at the result. There we go. Yep, looks good. This one, and this one. Perfect. But guys, notice this. Okay, do you see this text area? This is very big. We don't want this to be this big. Okay, let's come back here. Do you see this row here? Replace it with 5. Okay, save it. Let's look at the result. Here we go. Click plus. Look at that. Okay, it's small. Now let's add some, what is it called, label. Okay, just like this one. The first label is task title. Okay, copy that up, come back here, and inside here. Okay, so p tag. Okay, paste it here like this. Now put a br. Okay, tab, save it. Let's look at the result. What do we have? Beautiful. It looks nice, but the gap is too much. So let's do this. Okay, come back here, and this is br. Cut it from here. Okay, Control X. Now do this. Instead of putting it here, you put it here like this. Okay, and save it. Let's look at the result. Let's click plus. Look at that. It looks much better than before. Okay, the gap is actually here instead of putting it here. Okay, good job. Now come back here. Do you see this? We have a due date. Copy that up. Come back here, and we're gonna add the due date here. I mean here. My bad. P tab. Okay, paste it here like this. Due date. Okay, let's look at the result. Click plus. Look at that. It looks much better. Okay. Now let's do the same thing for this one as well. So what do we have? It's called the description. Okay, copy that up, come back here, and we're gonna add what? Br tab. Okay, here p tab. Okay, paste it here like this, save it. There we go. Let's look at the result. This is the result. Okay, plus, look at that, it looks just like this project. Okay, we can just compare the two. You can just compare the two things. It looks more or less the same thing. Good job so far. Now guys, do you see this ID here? I'm gonna write here text input. Okay, text input, so that we can target that in the JavaScript. Okay, here write date input. Okay, date input. Okay, then do you see this one, text area? Here you're gonna write text area. Okay, so that we can directly target that inside the JavaScript, something like this. Look, okay, save it. There we go, we have this so far. One last thing guys, do you see this button here with the type button, which is actually the add button? So if you recall, we're actually inside a form. Can you see this form here? Since we're inside this form, we also need a submit button. Okay, we're literally gonna convert this button to a submit button. Look at this, button type submit. There we go, done. Alright guys, so far so good. We're done with the HTML and the CSS part. Now time to start the JavaScript part. Let's get started. Alright guys, do you remember this chart here? Okay, look at this. Okay, we have our entire application complete, which is actually this one. Okay, the very first thing that we're gonna build is this button click, the submit event listener. Okay, And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a form validation, so that every time when the user submits a form blank, it's gonna give a failure. Subsequently, it's gonna give us an error message as well. But if the user writes something on the form, then what we're gonna go is to a success state, and then it's gonna fill up other functions. Okay, so first of all, let's build up to this point. Okay, so first of all, let's go to the result screen first. Okay, do you see this? If I click the plus here, okay, I'm gonna click the add here. Now look at that. Can you see this behavior? It is refreshing automatically. Okay, you put your eyes here. Okay, do you see this? You put your eyes there. I'm gonna click here. Look at this add. It's refreshing automatically. We don't want this behavior. We want something like this. Look, this is the original project. If I click here, if I try to add something blank, look at that. It's gonna give us a message. Task cannot be blank. This is what we exactly want. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to our our VS Code here on the main.js. First of all, let's come to index.html. Okay, so do you see this form here, and do you remember our ID, which is actually this one? So I'm gonna copy this one, come back here, okay, and write let form is equal to document, oh sorry, this one, not this one, document dot get element by ID. Okay, now you're gonna paste it here like this. Okay, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna literally write form dot add event listener. So which event listener is this? It is the submit event listener. Why is that? That's because we have this button here. Do you remember this? We have this button called submit. Okay, so we're just submitting the form, so like this. Okay, submit, there we go. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna prevent this default behavior, which is refreshing automatically. So what you're gonna write is you're gonna write a submit. So here you're gonna write submit, and here you're gonna make a callback function. This is actually a ES6 function. Okay, inside here, inside this parenthesis, you can write anything you wish, but let's keep it simple. Okay, let's keep here E. Okay, and inside here we're gonna prevent the default behavior, something like this. Look, E dot prevent default. Now put here brackets, save it. Let's look at the result. Okay, now every time we click this one and every time we try to submit the form, look at that, the default behavior is gone. Okay, every time you click here, it doesn't refresh automatically compared to this one. Okay, I'm gonna comment this one. Let's look at the result. Okay, if I click here, look at that, it's going away automatically. It's going away what? Automatically. So that's that. This is our solution. Okay, let's look at the Figma chart right now. So that's our solution here. I'm gonna uncomment this, save it. Let's look at our Figma chart. So we are done with the button click submit. Then what? We're gonna make the form validation here. Okay, so it's gonna have how many states? 2 states, the success state and the failure state. So let's come back here and make it. Okay, make the function let form validation. Okay, and then what you're gonna do is you're gonna make a ES6 function like this. Now how many states do we have? Let's check. 2 states, the success state and the failure state. Okay, let's come back here and write. So here we're gonna write the if else statement. Okay, so if, okay, let's first of all finish the syntax. Okay, and then else, there we go. If our statement is correct here, then we're gonna get console.log, oh not this one, sorry, console.log. Okay, we're gonna write here failure. Okay, something like this. We're gonna copy this one, come here, paste the same thing, just we're gonna write the success. Okay, so what do we exactly want inside this parenthesis? Like what should be our condition? Let's come back here on the result screen. Okay, not here on the original project. If I click here, now look at this. What is this? Let me just refresh real quick. Now if I click here, look at this. Every time the user submits the form blank without writing anything here, we want the error message to show up here, which is task cannot be blank. So we want this one to show the message only, not on the other ones. Okay, so let's do exactly that. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna come back to your index.html here. Okay, you're gonna scroll down and do you see this input type text? Just copy the ID. Okay, come back here at the top, you're gonna write here let, paste the same thing, equal to document dot get element by ID. Okay, now target this one like this. There we go. Now copy this one, come here, paste it, equal to, make it blank like this. Okay, by the way, I forgot to write here dot value. Okay, dot value, which means that if our input value is blank, then console log the failure, something like this. Let's look at the result. Here's the result. Okay, I'm gonna open my dev tools like this. Look at that. If I click this plus sign, now look at this. This is blank, okay? If I click the add here, nothing will work. Do you know why? Tell me why it isn't working. That's because we didn't invoke our function. You need to invoke it. It is very important, okay? So where will I put it? Where should I invoke it? Should I invoke it at the top, at the bottom, or should I invoke it here? If you're saying that you should invoke it here, then you are correct. Because if we invoke it outside like this, it will only invoke it one time. Look at this. If I click here, if I click add, look at that. It's not working. But it's going to output me only one message, only one time, not multiple times. Even though if I write something here, if I click the add, nothing will change because JavaScript runs from the top to the bottom, okay? And it will run only one time. But hey, look at this. If I cut it, if I put it here like this, every time I submit my form, it's going to trigger this function. Okay, so if I come back here, look at that. Initially, we will not get anything, but if I click this plus, if I click this add, look at that. We got the failure because it is blank. But if I write something here, if I click the add, look at that. We got the success. But hey, look at this. If I refresh the page, if I click this plus, if I click the add, the users will be confused like what happened if they don't get any message. So let's output a message here, okay? So come back to VS Code and inside index HTML. This is this input here. Below this one, we're gonna add hashtag MSG tab. We're gonna use JavaScript to target this. At the same time, we're gonna output a message here, okay? So let's copy this, come back here, target it here like this, let, paste it here like this, equal to document dot get element by ID. Now put it here like this. There we go. Now do you see this one? Copy this one, okay? So instead of the console log, what we're gonna do is we're gonna write it here like this, then dot inner HTML equal to double quotes, and let's go back to the result, click plus, task cannot be blank. I'm gonna copy this one real quick, come back here, put it here like this. Now listen, this will be in black color, okay? Let me show you the result. I'm gonna come here, click the plus, and then add. Look at that, task cannot be blank, but I want this to be red color. Okay, let's go back to our style CSS. At the very bottom, I'm gonna write here hashtag paste. Oh, not this one, sorry. It should be MSG, okay? MSG, curly bracket, color, red. Save it. Let's look at the result. Yeah, there we go. Refresh, click the plus, submit it blank. Look at that, task cannot be blank. But hey, if I write something here like this, if I click the add, look at that. The text is not going away, but I want it to be clear. How to do it? Look at this. Just copy paste the same thing. Do you see this one? Just copy paste the same thing on the else as well, but this time what you're gonna do is you're gonna just make it blank like this. There you go. Save it. Let's look at the result. Here we go. Click the plus, don't write anything, just click the add. Look at that, task cannot be blank. At the same time, write something here, now submit it. Look at that, beautiful. It is working perfectly fine, which means that if we go to our Figma file, I mean the flowchart, look at this, we are on the application, okay, which is actually the entire thing, this entire thing is our application. So if I go to the next step, which is the button click submit, which is actually this one, where is it? Here is it, okay, it's done. Now we also wrote our form validation along with two states, the success state and the failure state. The failure state also gives us the error message. Now look at this, we are here, okay. Now what we need to do is we need to accept and store the data from our form. So let's do that right now. Now guys, come back to VS Code on the main.js, scroll at the very bottom here, make me an empty object. Look at this, let data is equal to an empty object like this, then let accept data, okay, is equal to make me an ES6 function like this. There we go. Now the main theory is we're gonna use this function to fetch all of our data from this input and then store it inside here, okay, just like this flowchart. Do you see this? First of all, we're gonna accept and store the data, then once that's done, we're gonna upload that on the screen, okay. So let's come back here, let's do exactly the same thing, but before that, wait, I'm gonna go back to my HTML, and do you see this? I already targeted the input type text. Now I'm going to target the date and the text area. Let's do exactly that. I'm going to copy this one, come back here, and let's copy this one, paste it several times like this, Ctrl C, Ctrl V. There we go. Now we need to change the ID and the name of the variable, something like this. Look at this. Paste it here like this. Let's go back to our text area. Okay, I'm going to copy this, come back here, do the same thing for this one as well. There we go, we are done. Now I'm going to scroll down here. Do you see this? Here I'm going to target the data like this. Look, data, and then I have to push some content inside the data, something like this. Look, okay, here I'm going to write text, then equal to input, sorry, not this one, it is actually this one. Do you see this text input? I'm going to copy that, scroll down here, paste it, dot value. Okay, now save it. Now I need to trigger this function. Now give me an idea, where should I trigger this? If you're wondering that it should be triggered inside here, then you are correct, because listen, where are we? We are on the success state, not on the failure state. So where is the success state? It is inside this else statement, which means that you got triggered this, I mean you got to copy this and you got triggered inside here. Okay, something like this. Now do one thing, you're gonna copy this data like this, Control C, console log it like this. Okay, console log, paste it here like this. Let's look at the result. Okay, here is it. Now I'm gonna open the console like this. Look at this, I'm gonna click the plus. Now I'm gonna write something here and I'm gonna add. Look at that, we got something. Okay, success, and we got the text, this one. Let me just write my name here, something like this, Joy. Okay, and then I'm gonna add. Look at that, we got this text inside this object, which means that it is working perfectly fine. We are collecting the data from our input and then we're pushing it inside here through this line. Okay, but if I come back here, if I write something here like this, like if I select the date, at the same time if I write something here like this, if I click add, then this information is not getting inputted here. Why? That's because I did not push the content from the date and the description inside here. So let's do that right now. Okay, copy that, paste it 2 more times here, write the date. Okay, date like this, scroll to the very top. Do you see this date input? Copy that up, scroll down, replace it here like this, scroll up, text area, copy that up, come back here, paste it here like this, and on the text you're gonna write description. Okay, description. Now save it. Let's look at the result like this. Look at that, if I click the plus, if I write something here, let me just write my name here. Okay, Joy, and then here I'm gonna add a date. There we go. I'm gonna write a description here. Okay, go to gym. I'm gonna add it. Look at that, we got a object here. Okay, do you see that the date is here, the description is here, and the text is here as well, which means that we are successfully storing, we are successfully collecting the data, and then we're also storing the data inside here. So what's the next step? Let's look at our Figma. Okay, I'm gonna come here. Look at this, we have successfully accepted and stored our data. Now our next step is we need to upload the same data inside our screen so that it looks something like this. Look, this is the final original project. Okay, I'm gonna click this plus. Look at this, I'm gonna write here Joy, and then I'm gonna click this. Do you see this date? I'm gonna click the date, I'm gonna write some description here, I'm gonna click the add. Okay, every time I do that, it should come in the bottom here like this. Okay, we're gonna do this right now. Okay, so let's go back to our JavaScript file. At the bottom you're gonna make me a function. Okay, let create tasks, okay, equal to an ES6 function, something like this. There we go. Now guys, what's the basic mechanics of this one? Okay, let me explain. So what are we doing using this one? We are collecting the data from our inputs and then we're pushing it inside this object. So using this object, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this object inside here so that we can output the result inside here. Okay, just like this one. Okay, just like this. Look at this, if I click this here, look at this, I'm gonna write something here. Okay, I'm gonna write something here like this. Okay, there we go. Now this data is actually collected through which one? The data is collected through this one, and where it is stored inside here. Every time I click the add, it's gonna output me the same thing inside here. Okay, at the very bottom, which is actually this one. This function is working, the main job of this function is to do the same thing. Now where are we gonna output the result? we're gonna output the result inside this div with an id tasks, okay, inside here. So what you're gonna do right now is you're gonna copy this one, come back to main.js at the very top, okay. We're gonna do here let, okay, tasks equal to document dot get element by id, because it's an id, okay, don't make a mistake. Paste the same thing here, okay. Now I'm gonna scroll down here, okay, do this, okay. Tasks dot inner html is equal to, let's write something dummy, okay. I'm gonna write here double quote, task has been updated, okay. Now I need to trigger this function. Where am I gonna trigger it? Copy this one and trigger it inside here, the accept data state, okay. Instead of this one, I mean instead of outputting the data outside, I mean inside the console, just remove this, paste it here like this. There we go. Now let's look at the result screen here, okay. If I click the plus, if I write something here like this, if I click the add, look at this, we have something called the task has been updated. But hey, where are our other cards? Those are also getting updated. In order to stop this behavior, just use a plus. Very simple solution, okay. Just use a plus here, okay. And now it's not gonna replace the previous HTML elements with content inside there. Now let's do that. If I write something here like this, if I click the add, look at that, the task has been updated. But hey, it's not looking like our cards like this. Why is that? That's because we also need to write some markup here, okay. So how to do it? Look at this. Let's come back here and do this. How many tags do I have? Task do I have? 1 and 2, okay. So do this, okay. You're gonna fold both of them like this, okay, something like this, and grab any one of them. I'm gonna grab the first one like this, copy, come back to main.js, and instead of this one, replace this, okay, with a backtick, okay. Enter, put some gap, paste here like this. There we go. Now save it. Do you see this task 1? Replace this, okay, replace this with $, curly bracket, okay. So inside here what I'm gonna write is data.text, okay. So the data is our object, okay, and the .text is the key. So that's that, okay. I'm gonna copy the same thing and use this date here. I'm gonna replace it with this one, and instead of the text, I'm gonna write the date key here, okay. Now let's do the same thing for the description as well. Copy that up, come back here, paste it, and use this description. Copy that up, come back here, put it here like this, save it. Now it's gonna work just like we want it. All right guys, let's come back to the results screen and look at this. I'm gonna click the plus, okay. I'm gonna write my name here, Joy, okay. And now let's select a date here like this. There we go. And let's go right here, go to gym, okay. Here is it guys, the moment of truth. If I click the add here, look at that, it looks so ugly. It is going outside my div, it is not tucking it inside here. At the same time, we cannot scroll it, okay. But look at this original project, okay. If I scroll down, look at this, all the cards are beautifully here. At the same time, all of them are tucked inside. So let's do one thing. So first of all, let's use a scroll bar inside here. So how to do it, okay. You're gonna come back here on the style CSS, and do you see this app here? You're gonna write here overflow y, okay. The y is this one, okay. This is the y axis, okay. We want the scroll bar to be here, okay. And right here, scroll like this, okay. Save it. Let's look at the result. There we go. Can you see that the content is now tucked inside, and at the same time we have the scroll bar here, but it looks kind of ugly. We don't want this. Now we need to hide this, okay, just like our original project. Look at this. We can scroll down like this even though there is no scroll bar here. How did I do this? So I found this amazing article on Geeks for Geeks, okay. Look at this, hide scroll bar but while still being able to scroll using CSS. I'm gonna link this article in the description down below, because these guys deserve credit, okay. So I'm gonna scroll down here. Do you see this? The WebKit, Chrome, Safari, newer versions of Opera. Since I'm using the Chrome, I'm gonna use this one, but if you're using a different version, you can use this one as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this one, okay. I'm gonna come back to my style CSS, and at the bottom of this one, okay, I'm gonna paste it like this. Do you see this element? I'm gonna replace this element with this app, okay. I'm gonna write here app like this, okay. Save it. Let's look at the result, which is actually here. Look at that, our scroll bar is invisible, but still, hey, look at this, it's still working perfectly fine. Let's add some more tasks like this, okay. Add, look at that, it is working perfectly fine, okay. This is a new task. Let's add a new task here like this, okay. New task, Okay, let's change the date like this. There we go. Let's add something else. Add. Look at that. Okay, if I scroll down here like this, look at that, it is working perfectly fine. Look at this, the scroll bar is beautiful. All right guys, let's look at our Figma chart. Do you see this? We're done accepting and storing the data. We're done uploading that on the screen, and look at this, we have something called the reset the form. Now we need to reset our form so that it goes back to the original state of our application like this. Okay, so how to do this? But let's look at the problem. Okay, let's come back here and look at this. So do you see this one, the last text, which is new task, and gym something here, go to something like this. Okay, if I scroll up, look at this problem here. Okay, so if I click this plus, look at this, it is not cleaned up, it is not back to the default position. Look at this. Okay, so if a user tries to add something new, then what they have to do is they have to physically remove it like this. They have to physically remove it like this, and then they have to write something new again, and then new again here as well, then click the plus, which is a big hassle. At the same time, if I click this add, it's not going away. We're gonna add that feature right now, so that every time I click the add, it's gonna go away. Right now I have to click this cross sign here like this, and I have to scroll down. Look at that, we have this one so far. If I click it again, look at this, we have the same problem. We're gonna fix it right now. So I'm gonna come back to my JavaScript. At the bottom, I'm gonna write a function. Okay, let reset form, okay, something like this, equal to, okay, and then I'm gonna make an arrow function here. And then what I'm gonna do here is, do you see this here text input? I'm gonna copy that, I'm gonna put it here like this, and I'm gonna make it what? I'm gonna make it blank like this. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing for the date value as well as for the text area. Okay, look at this, let's make it blank like this. Scroll up, grab this one like this, copy that, scroll at the bottom, okay, paste, equal to, make it blank. There we go, beautiful. Now I need to trigger this one. Do this, copy this one, and at the bottom of this one, okay, you paste it here like this. Okay, there we go, done. Let's look at the result. I'm gonna click the plus here. Okay, look at this, I'm gonna write here joy, okay, something like this. Now if I click this and write some description, let's add a date here as well, something like this. Okay, I'm gonna click the add. Now look at that, do you see on the left side, it added me a new task. Okay, at the same time, if I want to add something new, look at this, the previous text went away, something like this. Look, if I click this one, okay, keep your eyes here and keep your eyes here. Okay, every time I click the add, look at that, it is cleaned up. This is the behavior that we want, so that when the user wants to add something new, then they don't have to physically remove it and then write something here again. That's beautiful. Alright guys, next up, look at this problem. Okay, every time I write something here and write something here, if I click the add, look at that, this form is not closing itself automatically. Look at this. Okay, if I keep clicking on the add, it is not closing itself automatically. So what I want is, every time when I write something here, if I click this add, it should close the form, something like this. Look, if I click the plus here, if I write something here, look at this, if I click the add, look at that, it is going away automatically, so that we can see our new task at the bottom here like this. So let's do that right now. So let's actually understand the mechanics. Okay, if I click the plus, look at this, if I click the close, it is going away automatically. Look at this. Okay, it is going away every time I click the close. But why not for the add? What's so special about it? Let me show you. Okay, if you go back to our index HTML, if you open up this one, do you see this close here, this close? Do you see this? We have something called data bs dismiss modal. This is the magic that's happening. Okay, so I'm going to copy this one. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write an ID here. Okay, ID, I'm going to write here add. Okay, something like this. There we go. Now let's target this inside my JavaScript. Okay, at the very top, come here, and here you're gonna write let add is equal to document dot get element by ID. Don't make a mistake because it's an ID. Okay, paste, not this one, sorry, you're gonna write add. Okay, save it. Now listen, every time we have a success, let me show you, wait, every time we have a success, something like this. Okay, it is what, it is a success state. Every time we have a success, we need to close this up, only then it's gonna work. So look at this, I'm gonna do this. So below this one, below the accept data, okay, I'm gonna write here add dot set attribute. This is called a set attribute function, but hey, look at this, do you see this? This is called a attribute, and this one is called a value. Let me repeat that again. This is called a set attribute. This is called an attribute. Let me repeat that again. This is called an attribute and this is called a value. Okay, so this function is used to add attribute inside my HTML element. Okay, so let's come back here, and here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paste it. Okay, do you see this data dismiss, data bs dismiss? I'm gonna write it inside a double quote. Okay, and I'm gonna put a comma here. Look at this. Now this is my attribute and this one is my value. Now I'm gonna save it. Now look at this result. Okay, so if I click this plus, look at this. Okay, look here very carefully, guys. If I write here joy, okay, if I click the add, look at this, it is not going away. But hey, look at this, if I click it here again, it is automatically going away. Hey, how did this happen? Okay, let's look at this again. Okay, look at that. Okay, I'm gonna write here again, but this time I'm gonna open the console. Okay, first of all, let's just refresh our console, refresh our page. Okay, come over to elements and click this one. Okay, you're gonna target this one. First of all, you open up your form and you're gonna click this one. Okay, now you're gonna select your add here like this. Look at this. Can you see here what's written here? Button type, submit, id, add, class. Okay, there is no data bs dismiss. All right, guys, I'm gonna write here something. Okay, you put your eyes here very carefully. Okay, watch this very carefully. I'm gonna click the add. Look at that, there is no data dismiss model. Okay, if I click here add, look at this, can you see what's added here? Data bs dismiss model. But hey, it's not working. It will only work on the second time when you click on the add again. Okay, only then it's gonna work. All right, guys, in order to solve this issue, look at this, I'm literally gonna simulate a button click by this. Look at this, add dot click. Look at this, we are doing what? We are simulating a button click. Okay, if I save it, let's look at the result screen. Look at this, if I click this one, if I write something here, if I click the add, look at this, it is working perfectly fine. But hey, look at this, this is the second problem. If I click it here again, if I click it blank without writing anything, look at this, it is automatically going away, which we don't want, since this is the task cannot be blank. Look at this. Okay, if I click it here again, it is working automatically, even though it's not adding me any more new tasks. So here's how to fix it. Okay, I'm gonna create an IIFE here. Okay, IIFE means immediately invoked functional expression. So how does this work? Okay, so look at this, on the regular, when we write a regular function, something like this, look, function, okay, ABC, something like this. Okay, this is what, this is a regular function. When we write a regular function, we also need to invoke it in a regular way like this. Look, ABC, then brackets. This is what, this is the function declaration. This is how we invoke it. But in the IIFE, we write the function like this and we invoke it like this. Look at this, how simple that is. But here's the difference, you can run it multiple times, but you can run it only once, and it doesn't but look at the difference, this regular function has a regular name, but this one doesn't have a name, and we only want this to run once every time we have a success state. Okay, one success state equal to one time this function will run. Okay, so I'm gonna replace this one and I'm gonna come back here, and do you see this one, I'm gonna make a ES6 function here like this. Okay, look at that. Now inside here what I'm gonna do is, do you see this one, I'm gonna copy this one, I'm gonna put it here like this, and I'm gonna keep it blank like this. Now save it, let's look at the result. Look at that, if I click the add, if I write something here like this, add, look at that, we have our new card here. Let's click here again, if I click the add here, look at this, it is not going away automatic. Now look at this, I'm gonna click the add here, I'm gonna write here something like this here as well. I'm gonna click the add like this. There we go, we got this result so far. Let's test this again. Okay, look at this. Okay, if I click it add blank without writing anything, it's working perfectly fine. All right, guys, let's come back to our Figma flowchart here. Look at this, we are here. Okay, upload on screen done, reset the form done. Now we have two more states, which is the update and the delete function. Okay, let's build that up. Okay, wherever we click, it's gonna always upload the result on the screen. Okay, so first of all, let's build the delete and then the edit. Okay, so I'm gonna come back here. At the bottom of this, I'm gonna create this one. Okay, look at this, I'm gonna create let delete task. Okay, let delete task. Okay, something like this. Okay, and then ES6 arrow function. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this. Okay, scroll up here, do you see this icon here, edit icon, and this is the delete icon. Okay, don't touch this, touch this one. Okay, here you're gonna write on click like this, then double quotes like this, paste it here like this, and now brackets. Okay, here you're gonna pass the this. All right, so what this means is that it's gonna target only this one, not the entire element. Okay, another example of this is that it means that we are here. Okay, so I'm gonna pass, since I have passed this one here, I have to pass something here as well, but let's keep it simple. Okay, you can write anything you wish. Let's keep it simple. You write E. Okay, now look at this, E dot remove. Okay, let's first of all test what it does. Okay, remove, don't make any spelling mistake. So let's look at the result first. Now let's look at the result. Okay, if I click this one here, look at this, it's not working. Okay, why is that? That's because I have to copy the same thing. Okay, and then I have to put it back here as well. Do you remember that we have two more tasks here? These are the dummy tasks. Okay, I need to update those two things as well here, something like this. And oh, I just updated that on the wrong place, my bad. It should be here, since this is the delete button. Okay, something like this. Save it, scroll down, do you see this one? I'm gonna paste the same thing here like this. Okay, save it. Now let's look at the result. Look at that, if I click on here, look at this, it is only deleting me the delete icon. Okay, nothing else, but I want to delete the entire card. So tell me, where are we? We are here. Okay, so this means that we are standing here. Who is the parent of this? Tell me. The parent of this is this one. So how do I target the parent? We're gonna write here parent element. Look at this, parent element. Okay, there, and then dot. Now let's look at the result after saving it. If I click this delete, now look at this, it's gonna delete both the icon set. Okay, if I click on here, look at this, there we go. Now this is not enough, I want to delete the entire thing. How to do it? So come back here and literally copy and paste the same thing again like this. Okay, so what's the logic? Look at this. So what we're doing is, by writing it once, we're jumping from here to here. So once we write it again, we're jumping from here to the main parent. After saving it, let's look at the result. Look at this, if I click on here, delete it. Let's delete it again. Look at that, it's deleted. Now let's click the add. Now let's write something here, write something here, click on add. Look at this, we have a new card. At the same time, if you want to delete it, click the delete. It's gonna delete the entire thing. It is working perfectly fine. Alright guys, let's come back to our Figma file. The last step is we need to make an update button, so that every time we click on let me actually show you. Let me just write something dummy here, and then every time we click this update button, we're gonna have the ability to update this card. Okay, let's build that right now. So guys, here's the logic. Every time I click this, it should bring me back the form. Look at this. Okay, at the same time, whatever is written here, let's say that joy. Okay, whatever is written here, it should come to that form as well. Okay, along with the description and along with the time. Okay, something like this. Look, edit, it's bringing me the form, it's bringing my name, it's bringing the date and the description as well. So which means that I have the ability to update it like this. Okay, I can also write here Joy Shaheb. There we go. Now if I click on the add, it's gonna bring it here at the bottom. Look at this, we need to do that right now. So how did I do this? Okay, how did I attach the event listener to this edit button? Okay, let me show you. So you're gonna come back to your index HTML. So do you remember the logic of this button? Wait a second. Do you see this one? Do you see this line here? I'm literally gonna copy this. Okay, I'm gonna scroll down to this section. Where is my tasks? Here, do you see this? I'm gonna write it here. Okay, on the edit button first. Okay, and then this one here as well. And don't forget to put the same thing inside your main JS as well, otherwise it's not gonna work. Okay, look at this, there we go, done. Now do this. Okay, below the delete task, make me another function, name it let edit task. Okay, edit task, there we go, something like this. And now you're gonna copy this one, scroll up, do you see this one, edit icon? You're gonna write here on click. Okay, just like the delete icon. Okay, on click equal to double quotes like this. Now paste it here like this, brackets. Now you're gonna write here this. Okay, this works the same way as this one. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, I have since written this one, I'm gonna copy this one, come back to my index HTML, I'm gonna paste it here like this. There we go. The same thing should be here as well. Look at this, Save it. Now let's go back to our main JS. Do you see this one? Edit task. I'm gonna write an E here, just like this one, okay? Just like this one. Now do this, okay? E dot remove, okay? Now initially let's look at the result, okay? If I come back here on the result screen, look at this. If I click on here, then it's gonna remove it. At the same time, it is bringing me back this form. Now look at this. Do you see this one? It is written task 1, going to gym, watching Netflix. This one should come to my form, okay? Something like this. If I click on here, do you see this task 2? It should come here along with the description and everything. So how to do it? Follow along with me. So the very first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here, okay? Where am I? I am here, okay? I need to jump from here to the parent and from here to the parent as well. So how to do this? Just like this one, okay? Look at this. I'm gonna copy this one and I'm gonna replace it with something like this. Look, let selected task, okay, is equal to paste this one. There we go, done. Now do you remember these things? Copy them, okay, and then put it here like this. There we go. Now let's scroll up. Do you see this one? This is the parent, okay? So where is this one? We have the parent here. Do you see this one? This selected task is this one, the parent itself. Now look at this. How many children does it have? It has 1, 2, 3 and 4. We don't need the icons. We need these 3. So how do I target them one by one? Look at this, okay? I'm gonna target them one by one by writing like this, okay? First of all, I'm gonna copy this one and then I'm gonna put it here like this, okay? Control V. Then I'm gonna write something called dot children, okay? CHILDREN, okay? And now I'm gonna write here square brackets. I'm gonna put here 0. Why 0? The 0 represents the first child, which is the span, okay? The second one will be 1 and the third one will be 2, something like this. Look, and by the way, let me actually finish this one. Then dot inner HTML, something like this. There we go. I'm gonna copy paste the same thing here as well. Control V, and now I'm gonna change the serial to 1 and then here 2. There we go. Alright guys, I'm gonna refresh the page. Now look at this. If I click on the plus, look at this, it is completely blank, okay? Every time I select this edit button, look at this. Do you see this? Going to gym, to watch Netflix, task 1, etc. Is gonna, whenever I click this one, is gonna go to my form like this. Look at this. We have the task 1, the date, and we have the task here. Look at this, okay? Now I'm gonna write something, edit, okay? It's gonna be task number 10, okay? Now I'm gonna click the add. Look at this. It is updating, that's true, but it is going at the bottom. But hey, look at this. This is not getting deleted. We don't want this. We want only the updated task. Something like this. Look, if I click on the add new task, if I write my name here, Joy, but I made a mistake here, okay? I made a mistake on my name. Let's click on this one. Let's select a date and now write a description here like this. There we go. Save it. Now look at this. It is at the bottom here, okay? If I click on the edit, look at this. I'm gonna remove my y from here like this, and now I'm gonna click the add. Look at this. It is updating, that's true, but it's not deleting the previous state. We don't want this. Let's fix that. Now do this, guys. Come back here and it's very simple. You just copy this one, okay? You paste it like this and then dot remove. There we go. Done. Now let's look at the result. Okay, click on add Joy like this. Okay, now let's select a date here like this. There we go. And now let's write some description like this. Okay, now click the add. Look at this. We have a spelling mistake. Every time I click on this, look at this. Automatically that gets removed and all the data comes here. Okay, now let's remove the y from here like this. Now click the add. Look at this. It looks beautiful right now. Alright guys, time to put our project at the very center. So how do I do this? Come back to your style CSS at the very top. Do you see this? You're gonna first of all add a height, okay? Height of 100 VH. There we go. And now you're gonna write here display flex tab, justify content center, AIC tab, which is align item center. Now let's look at the result. There we go. Okay, you can just scroll down, scroll at the top. You can add new task here like this. Okay, you can just click the add. Look at that. It's beautiful. Alright guys, now look at this issue. Okay, I'm gonna click this plus. Okay, now I'm gonna create some dummy tasks. Okay, let's say 1. Okay, now I'm gonna add. Let's create more. Let's write here just quickly 2. Okay, 3, and then I'm gonna make here 4 like this. Okay, add. Now if I scroll down, you can see this task here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. the moment I refresh this, okay, if I hit F5, everything is gone. Look at that, bam, nothing is there. So in order to prevent this, we're gonna use something called local storage to store all of our tasks in the browser. Okay, so if you hit F12 and then if you click this little icon here, then you're gonna go to application. You're gonna find something called local storage here. Okay, so you saw those tasks disappearing. Okay, the tasks written 1 2 3 4 etc, it goes away. But if we store them somehow inside here, then we can retrieve those data from the local storage inside here. So let's do exactly that. All right, in order to do this one, we're gonna come back to VS Code here. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, now we're gonna go to our main.js. Okay, now do you see this object here? I'm gonna convert this object to an array so that we can store objects inside here. Let me show you what that means. Okay, this is my array. Okay, inside this array, we're gonna store the task into objects, something like this. Okay, look at this. This is the task number 1. This will be task number 2. This will be task number 3, so on and so forth. I hope you got the idea. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this portion and I'm gonna make it into an array like this. There we go. Now in the same way, we have to convert these things as well. So instead of using it like this, we're gonna use something called data.push. Okay, push. There we go, something like this. And inside here, what we're gonna push is an array, an object like this, curly bracket, enter. Now do you see this portion? I'm gonna cut it like this. Okay, Control X, I'm gonna put it here like this. Now do you see this? We have to replace it like this. Okay, now at the very end, you put a comma, not a semicolon. Okay, otherwise it's not gonna work. Something like this. There we go. And remove this portion here. Okay, just follow along with me what I'm doing. Okay, here I'm gonna use colon. Okay, same goes for here as well. And there you go, guys. It should look something like this. Okay, now let's actually console log the data to check how does it look like. Okay, console.log. Okay, I'm gonna write here data. Save it. Let's look at the result here. So I'm gonna open my dev tools here and the console. Okay, now look at this. I'm gonna write some dummy task here. Okay, something like this. Okay, add. Look at that. It is actually an array, and inside this array, objects are getting stored. Okay, let's do something else, something like this. Okay, add. Okay, let me add more tasks here, something like this. Add that up. Now look at this. Okay, I'm gonna open this array. Look at this. Do you see this portion? It is written 0 1 2, and all of these are actually objects, by the way. Now guys, look at this. The moment I refresh the page, everything is gone, nothing is saved. But hey guys, our main task is to find a way to save those data inside our what is it called, local storage. So let's do exactly that. So I'm going to come back here and use this data, I mean this one, I'm going to store inside local storage. Now look at this. I'm going to write here local storage, okay, dot set item. Okay, this is used to store the data. And if we use something called local storage dot get item, that's used to retrieve the data from the local storage. Okay, don't worry, we're gonna see both of them, but first let's actually look at this. Okay, now look at this. Inside the local storage dot set item, we're gonna put brackets. Okay, now guys, the first thing that I'm gonna put here is a key. Okay, you can write anything you wish, no problem, but I'm gonna write here double quotes data. Okay, so I'm just trying to match this name with my array here. Okay, now the next thing that the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to put the comma, and now here I'm going to set the value. Okay, I'm going to write the data. So this data actually represents this one. Do you see this variable here? This is actually an array. So now I'm going to save it. Let's look at the result. Okay, so I'm going to click this one. Okay, and then I'm going to go to application, then local storage. Now you're going to come here. Now let me just expand this a little bit here. Now look at this. I'm going to click the add here. Now I'm going to write something dummy here. Okay, look at this. The moment I click the add, something is coming here. Okay, do you see this key here? By the way, this is actually called a key. This is called a value. Okay, so let's come back here and look at this. Do you see the key here? This is the value. The key is the data. I'm going to click this. Now do you see this? It is written something in object. Now look at this. I'm going to write something more here like this. Add. Look at that. It's object, comma, object. But it is not actually showing us what is getting stored here. So in order to solve this issue, we're going to use something called json.stringify. Look at this. Okay, json.stringify, something like this. Now after saving it, let's look at the result. Now if I refresh the page, nothing should happen, but let's add something dummy here again. Okay, click the add. Now look at that. If you click on here, then do you see this? It is actually storing an array inside the array we have the object stored, something like this. Now let's write here our name, something like this, Joy. Okay, let's actually pick a date like this. Let's add some description like this. Okay, now I'm gonna click the add. Now look at that. Do you see this portion here? If I open this up, look at this. We have the date, we have the description, at the same time we have the name inside the text, so which means that it's which means that it is working perfectly fine. Okay, let's try to add something else like this. Okay, now let's add the add. Look at that, 0 1 2, which means that 3 objects are getting stored inside this array. Perfect. Alright guys, we found a way to store all of our data inside the local storage. Now we're gonna find a way to retrieve this data from the local storage inside our application. Let's do exactly that. So I'm gonna come back to my VS Code, and we were actually inside this one, accept data phrase. Accept data function. Alright guys, I'm gonna scroll down to the very bottom here, and here I'm gonna make an IIFE, something like this, immediately invoked functional expression. And inside here I'm gonna make an ES6 function like this. There we go. You can also use regular function, no problem. Okay, let's actually first of all look at the mechanics, how everything is working. Okay, so I'm gonna come back to the accept data function, and look at this. Whatever we're accepting the data from the form, we're pushing it inside here. At the same time, we're pushing all of this data inside the local storage. Now we need to figure out a way how to get this, how to retrieve the data from the local storage back to our array here. Every time we refresh the page, we do it like this. Look at this. We're gonna scroll to the very bottom here. Okay, we're gonna add the data. Okay, so where did I get this data from? This is the array which we have here. Do you see this one? So I'm using that one. So I'm going to come back here and write here local storage and then dot get. Do you remember that I told you something exists called get item? I'm going to use this one. Okay, brackets, and now here I'm going to write double quotes data. Okay, and this is a disclaimer. Okay, whatever key KEY you're giving here, it should match up exactly with this one. Okay, otherwise it's not gonna work. Okay, now save it. Let's look at the result. Okay, now guys, look at this. Inside our local storage we have this data here. Okay, now if I refresh the page, nothing will actually happen. In the meantime, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back here, and do you see this task 1, task 2? We're gonna remove those things entirely. Okay, so come back to our index HTML, and on the tasks, do you see this portion? I'm gonna remove those dummy tasks. Okay, something like this, because we don't need them anymore. Save it. Let's look at the result. There we go. Those are totally gone. Okay. Alright guys, now come back to the main.js, and do you see this portion here? This is what? This is an array, which means that we can also use the map here. So let's use the map instead of this one directly. So what we're gonna do is, first of all, we're gonna write here data.map. Okay, now look at this portion very carefully. Okay, inside this map I'm gonna use an ES6 function. Okay, something like this. And inside this function, this is arguments here. I'm gonna put the X and the Y here. So what this means is that, let's say inside the data, okay, inside the data we have 3 objects. Okay, not 3, let's say 6 objects. Okay, what this X does is that it's gonna target all of those 6 objects one by one. Okay, it's gonna target the first one, then the second one, third, fourth, fifth, so on and so forth. It's gonna target all of them one by one. And do you see this Y? This Y is actually the serial number. Okay, so it's gonna start from 0. Let me show you. It's gonna start from 0. It's gonna go to 1 2 3 4 and then 5. Okay, if you count up this number, then it's gonna be actually equal to 6. So this is the function of Y. This is the main role of Y, to count the index numbers. So I hope you're I really hope that you understood this portion. Now what I'm gonna do is, look at this. Inside here I'm gonna write the return. Okay, oh my bad, I'm gonna write the return here, and then do you see this portion here? I'm gonna cut everything like this. Okay, Control X. Now I'm gonna put it here like this. There we go. Now save it. So guys, do you see this Y here? I'm gonna use it as an ID in every cards that we generate. Okay, look at this. I'm gonna write here ID equal to $ curly bracket Y. There we go. Okay, the main idea is that, let's say that we have 6 cards. How many cards? 6. So what this Y will do is that it's gonna generate some index numbers of 0 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so these numbers will actually get attached to this ID number. Okay, let me show you a demo. Okay, first of all, let me just remove everything from here like this. Save it. And now guys, you close it like this. Okay, don't touch this. Now follow along with me, okay? Do you remember this portion here? Okay, so what are we doing with this one? We are accepting the data and pushing it inside here. At the same time, whatever we are collecting the data, we're pushing it inside the local storage. And come to the very bottom, okay? Come to the very bottom here. Do you see this one? Every time the page refreshes or every time the page loads up for the first time, what this function will do is that it's gonna get all the data from the local storage and push it inside here, which is actually our array here, like this. Now listen, what we're gonna do is we're gonna invoke this function. Where is it? This function, okay? I'm gonna copy this one. I'm gonna scroll to the very bottom here, okay? So I'm gonna invoke it like this, okay? By the way, before invoking it, let me actually show you what is actually getting loaded up in the data. Okay, look at this. Console log. Alright guys, now you're gonna write the console log data here, and now let's look at the result. You're gonna come to the console. You're gonna get all the data from the local storage, but it looks kind of weird. Yes, it looks kind of weird. In order to solve this issue, we're gonna come back here and do this one. We're gonna convert this to json.parse, something like this. Look, json.parse. Okay, now let's save it. Let's look at the result. There we go. It actually looks like an array right now. Inside this array, we have 3 objects. There we go. It looks like this. So what we're gonna do right now is, instead of putting all the data here, we're gonna put all the data here as cards. So how to do it? Let me show you. This is create task here. You're gonna invoke this function like this. Now save it. Let's look at the result. There we go. We got all of our cards, but it looks undefined. How do we solve this issue? Let's come back here and come to this function. This is create tasks function. Let's go to that function, which is actually where is it? Here is it. Look at that. Okay, so do you remember this x? We're gonna use this x. Okay, so instead of writing the data, we're gonna write the x. If you can recall, I told you that what this x does is it's gonna individually target all of the objects one by one. Okay, so I'm gonna write the x here. At the same time, replace it with x. Replace this one with x as well. Now save it. That's up to this point. Let's look at the result. There we go. Do you see this portion here? Look at that. We have this one, we have the joy, we have this one as well. Let's add another card. Let's say I'm gonna write here 1. Okay, now I'm gonna write here anything as I like. Let's select a date like this. There we go. Let's click the add. Look at that. If I scroll down, then it's working perfectly fine. Look at that. We have the 1 here. Let's write 2. Okay, now look at this issue. There should be an issue. Okay, 2. Let's pick a date here like this, and now let's write something like this. Okay, now click the add. Now if you scroll down at the very bottom, then you're gonna see the 2 here. But hey guys, look at this. This is joy here. Look at this joy here. Do you see this one? It got printed 2 times. At the same time, guys, look at this. This is 1 here. Look at this one. It got printed again. Why is it actually happening? That's because, if you can recall, we are using something called inner HTML plus equal to then this template here. Okay, what this does is it's gonna add those HTML elements inside our tasks one by one. Okay, it's not gonna remove the previous ones. So in order to actually solve this issue, the solution is very simple. You just copy this portion, put it here, equal to, make it blank like this. So which it means that every time this function runs, first of all it's gonna clear up all the tasks, and then it's gonna load up this one, something like this. There we go. So if I save it, if I go back to the results screen, now look at this. If I refresh the page, if I scroll down, look at this. The solution, the problem is actually gone. Now if I try to make another card, like say 3, okay, add. If I scroll down, look at this. Okay, so the problem is totally gone. Let's add another card like this, 4. Let's write something dummy here. Let's add a date, something like this. Now click the add. If I scroll down, then look at this. Okay, we have, now look at this. I have my 4 here. Every time I try to refresh the page, look at this. The cards are still there along with the appropriate data. Okay, let's try it again. I'm gonna write my name here, Joy. Okay, now I'm gonna pick a date here like this. Now let's write something dummy. Click the add, scroll down, look at this. We have the joy. If I refresh the page, if I scroll down, look at this. The cards are still there. It is not going away, which means that it is working perfectly fine. Okay, the local storage is doing its job. Now listen, we also need to delete and edit our cards. Okay, now look at this. Every time we delete the joy, if I refresh the page, if I scroll down, look at that. It is not deleting itself, which is an issue we need to solve right now. So in order to solve the issue, I'm going to come back here, and now I'm going to close it. This one, okay? close this portion. Come to your delete task. Where is it? It's actually here. This is portion. Okay, so let me actually show you something. Okay, so I'm gonna write here console.log. Okay, look at this. Except the remove, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this portion. Okay, Control C, and now I'm gonna put it here, and now I'm gonna write here ID. Okay, now save it. Let's look at the result. Okay, now let's open the console and look at this one. Okay, in any cards I click the delete button, it's gonna give me a number. Look at this. Let's say I'm gonna delete this one, 3. Look at this number. Can you see this 5 here? Now look at this one. If I click the delete here, now look, this is 7. Let's click on something else, delete. Look at that, we're getting the 3. So where are we actually getting this number from? If you can recall our y, look at this. I'm gonna open this one. Okay, do you remember our y here? What is this? This is the index number. Okay, it's gonna start from 0, 1, 2, 3, and I attach that index number inside here, inside this div. Okay, so if I come back to my elements, let me just refresh. Now look at this. Do you remember our app? Open this one, and where is it? Tasks. It should be somewhere inside here. Okay, look at this. I'm gonna open this one. Do you see this div with an ID 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? So what are we doing? We are retrieving the number every time we click the delete button. Okay, so something like this. Look, if I click on this one, it's gonna give me 0. Okay, if I click on this one, it's gonna give me 3. So using this number, what we're gonna do is we're gonna by the way, look at this one. Do you see this array here? Let's say that I want to delete last one. Okay, if I click on the last one, look at this. It is what? 7, and match this number with this one. Okay, do you see this 7 here? I deleted the 7, which means that it should also remove the data from our array. It should remove this one. So guys, that's how the system should work. Let's do that. So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to close this one first, like this. And now I'm going to scroll to the and now let's scroll down to the delete task here. Okay, so instead of putting it here like this, what we're going to do is we're going to scroll a little bit up. Do you see this data? I'm going to copy this. Okay, now I'm going to scroll down, and here I'm going to write data. Okay, then dot, you're going to write the splice. Okay, S-P-L-I-C-E, splice, like this, and now brackets. Okay, now the first input will be the ID number, which is actually this one. Okay, so now I'm going to cut it from here. I'm going to put it here like this, and now comma. The second one is how many items you want to remove. I just want to remove 1 item, so I'm going to write the 1 here. Okay, now I'm going to save it. Now guys, let's look at the result. Look at this. How many objects do I have? I have in total 8 objects. Okay, now guys, let's say that I want to remove the first one, which is actually this one. Okay, let's delete this one. Look at this. From 8 it became 7, from 7 to 6. Now let's delete another one. Look at this, 5. It is working perfectly fine. But guys, hey, look at this. Every time I refresh, from the 5 it became 8. Look at this. Let me show you again. 7, 6, wait a second, 6, 5, 4. Okay, every time I refresh from the 4 it still becomes 8, which means that guys, our local storage is actually not updating itself. So we're gonna do that right now. So you're gonna come back here, and at the bottom, at the very top, do you see this one? You remember this? What we're doing, we are just setting the local storage here. You just copy this portion and you just put it here like this. Okay, done. The solution is very simple. And by the way, I'm going to remove this one because that's blank. Save it. Let's look at the result. There we go. We have in total how many objects? 8. Let's delete 2 from here like this. Now I'm going to refresh. Okay, now look at it. It's 6. Now the local storage part is also working perfectly fine. Let's remove the joy from here. Look at this. It's 5 right now. Let's refresh the page. Look at that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, and then joy. Let's remove this one. Let's refresh the page. Look at that. It is working properly. And let's try to remove the 1. Let's refresh. Look at that. It's working properly fine. Alright guys, one more step is left, which is actually to edit the edit task function. It is very simple. You just copy the delete tasks, and do you see this portion? You remove it, put it here, brackets, and do you see this E here? You just pass the E here like this. Okay, now save it. Let's look at the result, which is actually this one. Now look at this. Let's say that I want to edit the 4. Okay, like this. Now I'm gonna write my name, Joy. Okay, now I'm gonna write to go to gym. Okay, now click on the add like this. Look at this, Joy, go to gym. Refresh the page. Look at that. We have a spelling mistake here, so let's open that up. Now I'm gonna write here Joy Shaheb. Okay, now let's click on the add. Look at that. It is working perfectly fine. Alright guys, before closing the project, I want to point out to an issue. Okay, so if you open the developer console, then look at this. Okay, on the console you're gonna get this error. What is this? Cannot read property of null reading map. You're gonna find this issue only when your local storage is blank. Let me show you. Wait, It's inside your application on the local storage, this one. Okay, look at this, you don't have anything. But let's say that you have something here. What you're gonna do is you're gonna click on this one, so it's gonna clear up your local storage, and then you're gonna find this error here. So how do we solve it? So why does it even occur? The main reason is, look at this. So what our code is trying to do is, it's actually, let me come to the very bottom, look at this line. What it is doing is, it's trying to retrieve data from the local storage, and it's putting it back inside our data variable, which is actually this one. So this array is our data. So then what happens is, look at this code here. Then the next thing that is running is this one, okay, which is naturally this function here. Do you see this one? It has a map, okay, data.map. It's trying to map the data. So since this is blank, because our local storage is blank, that's why the map function doesn't run. That's why we're getting this error, cannot read properties of null, okay, reading dot map. Okay, that's why this problem is happening. How do we even prevent this? In order to prevent this, the solution is very, very, very simple. You come to the very bottom here. Okay, look at this. You see this portion here? So I'm gonna put a or here, okay, like this. Or I'm gonna put a blank array like this. There we go. Problem solved. Save it. Let's look at the result. If I refresh the page like this, then guys, if you refresh the page, then you can see that the problem is gone. But previously, if you did this, if you remove this one, wait a second, let me show you. If you remove this one, I mean, if you don't put it there like as it is, then what will happen is that you cannot even add any task. Let me show you. So I'm going to come here, and then I'm going to write something here, and then I'm going to click on add. Every time you try to click on the add, look at that. It's not working. It's going to only throw us this error. That's why you got to put this one. Okay, so wait a second, let me bring it back. Yeah, or empty array like this. Okay, now save it. This is the or, okay, and this is an empty array like this. Save it. Now let's look at the result. It should look, now after refreshing the page, you're gonna find this. Okay, now let's try whether it works or not. Let's try write something dummy. There we go. Now let's click on the add. Look at that, it's working perfectly fine right now. All right guys, the last thing that you're gonna do is, do you see this function here? You just copy the function, and then do you see this delete button here? You just invoke it here like this. Wait a second, let me explain why. Okay, so let me just write it here like this. Okay, now let me explain why we are doing this. We are doing this because every time, let's say that we deleted a post. Wait a second. Let's say that I'm going to create some post here. Okay, 1. Wait a second. 2. Then I'm going to write here 3. And now I'm going to write here 4. Something like this. Okay, now let me actually open the local storage. Come back here like this. Now look at this. Do you see this data here? 0, 1, 2, 3. Let's say that I want to delete 3, which is actually here. Okay, I'm going to click on the delete like this. There you go. Look at that. The 3 is gone. Let's say that I want to delete the 4. Okay, this one will, I deleted it like this. Let's say that I'm going to delete the 2. It's going to get deleted like that. Okay, similarly 1 will follow. So the main theory, the main reason for putting this function here is that anytime or every time we delete a single task card from our app, this entire function will run again. And this time is going to bring us an updated number of tasks. That's why we're putting it here like this. Alright guys, we're done with our tutorial. I really hope that you learned a lot from this tutorial. If you like the video, give a like, share it with a friend, and feel free to subscribe. Till then, take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.